welcome back to Terps Esports, live from College Park. My name is Lily.
And my name is Hayden. Last week was one weird week with the weather, but finally we got spring shining through on this beautiful Monday evening. On top of that, your Game Changers Premier team is the one shining in the spotlight for today's show. Tonight, the Terps GC team is taking on UTD Pulsar and the NECC Nationals Tournament. Let's make sure we show Terps GC lots of support in the chat tonight.
Tonight's game will be a typical best of 3, meaning the first team to achieve 2 map wins will also win the series. In tonight's pre-show, we'll introduce you to the team as well as take a look at their statistics and even get a chance to interview the team's controller, Carrots.
Before we jump into the game, let's start with the rules of your typical Valorant match. If you've never played Valorant before, Valorant is an objective-based FPS game where teams of 5 players compete in 2 12-round cycles against each other. The main objective of the game is to plant the spike, defend the spike, manage economies, and create strategic plans to dominate each round.
And tonight, like Hayden mentioned, the Terps are going up against UTD. And tonight's game is actually a part of the NECC Nationals Tournament, which means that the team had to work hard all season long to get to this match in order to qualify for this tournament. So let's be sure to cheer on the Terps tonight in the chat.
Now, without further ado, it's time for us to introduce you to the members of the team. We're also going to be taking a quick look at their stats and describing their specific roles.
All right, starting off strong, we have Savani as the team's duelist. She's got an ACS of 211, an ADR of 139, and a KD of 1.0. And one thing Savani is really great at is entering for her team by taking lots of space in the form of kills. And when the Terps are on the defense, the opposing team has to make sure that they are aware of her ability to hit some insane op shots down sights.
Yeah, she is fantastic with the operator. Next on the roster is the team's flex player, Davy Jones. She has the ability to pick nearly any agent depending on the team's current composition. This gives the team tremendous versatility. She's got an ACS of 223, an ADR of 144, and a KD of 1.2.
All right, next up we have Soap as the team's sentinel. She's coming in with an ACS of 196, an ADR of 132, and a KD of 1.1. Last week in the Grand Finals match that we streamed here on Terps Esports, Soap had an amazing series. All 3 games she really showed up to play, and she makes such a huge impact in the late stages of each round as she's always ready to pull off an insane clutch.
As an initiator, the team is relying on Trace to use her utility in order to make fights more favorable. She also plays an important role in gathering information for the rest of the team to work off of. Last time we were in the studio with the GC Premier team, she had an amazing game, so I'm super excited to see what she's able to do tonight. She's coming in with an ACS of 188, an ADR of 122, and a KD of 1.2. That's phenomenal stats.
Certainly is. And last but not least, we have Carrots. And she has been a very important piece to this roster for a while now. And she had a stellar match last time we were in the studio. So let's take a closer look at her stats.
To close things out, let's talk about Carrots. As a controller, Carrots' main job is to secure sites on the attack and to hold down the fort on defense. Where and when she decides to place her smokes will heavily influence the outcome of each round. She's coming in with an ACS of 211, an ADR of 138, a KD of 1.1. She's especially strong in Omen. She's really smart about her utility usage. Now, without further ado, please give a warm welcome to Carrots. Hi, Carrots. How are you doing? First off, throwback to last week again. Congratulations on the division championship. So I just want to kind of revisit the game a little bit. You had a fantastic clutch play to close the gap on Lotus and eventually win that map to take the championship. What was your thought process during the clutch? If you don't remember, I believe you ended up on C site, you planted the spike, and you had a fantastic 1v2 with the Sheriff.
I believe you're talking that I was actually a 1v4.
It was a 1v4? Okay,
it was on our bonus round, so...
my mistake.
It was like... At the time, it was really hard. Yeah, I was in a very bad position. Plus, it was our bonus round. So, to be completely honest, as long as we did a decent amount of damage, then it would have been fine. But after I got my first 2 kills, my head went to, oh, wait, I have a chance on this. And then I just was like, okay, I'm going to play this really well. Let me just like meticulously take my shots and try to play this as perfectly as possible. And I got my shots in and won the round, and it was essentially really huge because it was their first buy round, which ruined their economy, so it would be easier for us for the latter rounds.
Yeah, I mean, that's some great insight, and I know everybody else in the studio was hype when you got that clutch. That was
Yes.
amazing to watch. So also from last week's match, I think one of the most notable things to look at is a 7-round overtime game. You guys were able to win in the 38th round after playing for about an hour and 40 minutes. Can you talk to us about the team's composure and the mentality during those rounds?
It was surely really stressful, as anyone would expect, because overtime in itself is a very stressful situation. If you make one mistake, the whole game could go down the drain. But 7-round OT in itself, very stressful, and I can tell you it was really nervous when we lost our first attack half, because both teams kept struggling on defense.
Right.
But at the end of the day, we kept our composure, and when we won that last round, we were so relieved. We're just like, oh my god, 7 rounds OT. We took the game home though.
Yeah, no, that was a fantastic game. It was really fun to watch. So moving back to this week, tonight's another big match. So what do you expect in tonight's series? What strategies are you and your team bringing into tonight to give you the edge?
Tonight we have been scrimming a lot more than we have been during our normal series. We have gone through multiple maps, and I would say that we're really confident with our map pool now, and with our team play. We have made some certain changes as well to go into this nationals, because we have been essentially we have spent so much more time preparing that although I don't have any particular strategies just in my hands, I believe that we as a team is going to do so much better now.
Yeah, I mean, you guys seem like you've prepped a lot for this, and I have full faith that you are going to dominate this this series. So lastly, before I let you go, I want to ask, out of the team, who do you think has the biggest chance to get knifed during a match, and who would be the most likely to knife somebody else during a match? And why?
With the getting knifed part, unfortunately, I know there's history behind this, so I'm going to have to say Tracy. I'm so sorry, Tracy, because you got let during a mass scrim. So I have to say that you probably have the biggest chance of getting knifed tonight. The most likely to knife someone else, I would say, would be Laura.
Okay.
I think Laura would have the highest chance to knife someone simply because she has really good positioning, and I think she'd do it for the lulz.
Oh, I see. Well, thank you so much for joining me tonight, and best of luck. Everyone, please stay tuned. We will jump right into the action after a quick commercial break.
I think by the end of the season, now, we play together, everyone kind of jokes around a little bit more and kind of shines their natural ray. We're excited just to see them play better as well.
With the middle school program, the best part has been seeing the moments of teamwork where the middle schoolers really seem to get the game, and so that's when you can see they're starting to get a little bit hooked on how esports can be so fun.
Off game, or will Red turn things around?
Terp Adventures. Take flight at Stamp. Host to countless Maryland events, programs, performances, and more. Feed your body, feed your mind, feed your soul. Let your talents soar. Dance, sing, perform. Find your thing. Join more than 800 student organizations and clubs. Find community here. Leadership lives here. Art thrives here. With space to grow. We're all just kids at heart. Let your imagination fly. Compete. Play. With wings on our feet. Here your spirit can fly. Here your soul lifts up. Here you remember those who came before. This is STAM. This is the center for campus life, where Terp Adventures take flight. You belong here. Come fly with us.
Hey everybody, welcome back. We're gonna head into the game shortly, and we actually know that what map number 1 will be.
Yeah, so map number 1 is going to be Pearl, which is quite a surprise because we haven't seen Pearl in a while.
Yeah, it's been a minute. I have seen GC play Pearl in the studio, but it was definitely at least a couple weeks ago. I want to say 3 or 4 weeks. And they had a really strong performance, but I know the one thing they did struggle on Pearl is the defensive side, particularly on B site. But to kind of help make that defense easier, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw an Astra, because Carrots tends to pick Astra on this map.
Yeah, I mean, B site's probably the hardest, like, in my opinion, one of the hardest sites out of all the map pools to defend, especially because like you have so much space and you can attack from anywhere you want. It's really easy to get on site. So like you said, I would not be surprised if we do see an Astra. But in terms of like Sentinels, like what are we thinking?
I think a KJ, honestly, because Soap is really consistent with that KJ pick.
Oh, you're right.
But she's really good on KJ, especially she's really good at staying alive in the late round, whether it's she's lurking, whether she's just doing a flank, whether she's slowly kind of falling behind the rest of her team. She's always really good at playing her life and playing time. And that's a lot easier to do when you're on KJ and you have a kit full of mollies, a turret, to work off of and peek before you have to risk your own self doing so.
Yeah, I mean, KJ's kit can definitely pump out some good damage if you're trying to secure some kills here and there. But in terms of duelists, so from my understanding, I think Waylay can be played in tournament play now. So the question is whether or not we're going to see Waylay in tonight's game.
Yeah, I wouldn't, at least from the Terps, I wouldn't say so. Savani's really comfortable on Jet, especially on this map. She also tends to play Raze, and those are the two she kind of goes back and forth with. But at least in Grand Finals match for Sir, she wasn't gonna test out Waylay there. But I don't know if the other team, I don't know if UTD is gonna opt for some Waylay, opt for some kind of crazier compositions now that we are out of playoff season.
Yeah, I mean, Waylay brings a whole new idea of a fast-paced game to Valorant because of the nature of the dash. Or is it a dash? I think it's a dash.
Yeah, that counts
as
a
I mean,
dash.
just the fact that you can it's just the distance that you can get with that. I think she has the furthest distance than any other duelist. I think I saw a reel a while ago where it was measuring the total distance you can get with a raise satchel, or both raise satchels, a jet dash, and all that. I think she sweeps in every area.
Yeah, she's been a really just interesting agent to have. I feel like I haven't seen her as much, at least from the GC team, as I would have expect to see her, but they don't seem like they need her. They're doing fine, just on their own with Savani being that duelist pick. And this is not typically a team that opts for 2 duelists. They're more inclined to pick 2 initiators. It's typically their usual comm. Maybe they'll opt for double sentinel if they feel like they really need it with that flex position. But so they haven't really relied on Waylay, but from UTD we already have some kind of crazy silliness going on.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I don't know if they're gonna lock in these 2 sentinels. I think they're trying to figure out which one to play, but 2 sentinels on Pearl, that's something to see, because with 2 sentinels you can spread your entire utility across all of the map, right? So you can cover every entrance from mid and both A and B. So I like the double sentinel, but the problem is they just don't have that much attacking power. Whereas with the Terps, they have a good balance. I mean, I think we've seen this comp a lot of times through a lot of different maps. It's a pretty common composition, and we know that kind of composition has a lot of balance. And I do want to highlight this KJ. Like you were saying, Soap on that KJ is phenomenal. And on top of that, Carrots is running the Astra, so the Astra wall will definitely help for getting some quick executes and maybe even some fakes here and there.
Yeah, so it's not going to be a Waylay we see for our kind of out-of-pocket duelist pick. It's going to be a Yoru from UTD. The Terps have honestly, ironically, been up against a Yoru or 2 recently, and Reyna also. They've kind of been going up against teams that are opting for this kind of strange unexpected duelist pick, and they've been able to have an answer, because you gotta, okay, they haven't practiced against a Yoru, they haven't practiced against Arena, but they were able to really have an answer to that in the grand finals last week, and the Reyna for the other team was insane. Yeah, the Reyna was phenomenal. Like, I remember I observed a few of their POVs, and it was like headshot after headshot, and I'm like, that's crazy. They were definitely very skilled, but the nice thing is, like, going back to what you said, is the Terps can adapt really easily. They've played a few off-meta compositions, and they've been able to adapt really well. And I'm highly confident in this game that they're going to do that exact same thing, especially for this double sentinel. That's going to take some time to get used to, especially since they're going to start on. The Terps are going to start on defense, so it's going to take some time to get used to once they get into that second half. So they might want to start racking up as much rounds as they can now, and then have a full forced attack going into the second half. Yeah, so here they are on the defense. It's going to be Soap who's set up and alone on this A site. Meanwhile, there's a lot of pressure on the defensive side from the Terps already up in mid. Carrot's going to throw smoke down, try and slow down any mid push that's happening, but the attention right now has got to be on this B site, particularly B long. Carrot's going to jump peek and get the read that there's a few coming her way, throws a smoke in response, but now how will the Terps have an answer to this Yoru utility? It's a bunch of them peeking out of the smoke at the same time. Carrot's going to have to back up and wait for the reinforcements and just play retake here. Yeah, they're just going to have to back off. There's way too many people flooding into sight, and at this point, especially on pistol round, you want to save as many lives as you can so that you can stack up against everybody. But look at where the Cypher is. It's going to be an interesting engagement, and Trace does get the Cypher. That's huge, because that brings it down to a 4v5. And Savani's made her way back on this side, peeks to Yoru, but has 2 angles to watch at the same time. Meanwhile, Soap does get a pick into Halls and is looking for more. Now she's picked up a ghost and is able to find it. So is Savani eventually, now that all they have to worry about here is this long angle. They're hiding behind Pillar. They're going to not speak at the same time, and now we're down to a 2v1. Someone on the Terps has got to stick this bomb just for the sake of timing. Looks like it's going to be Savani. Carrots will be the meat shield, but she also has a gun to work with and does get that pick to put the Terps ahead early on. That was a very good play by Carrots. I want to
highlight that the last like 3 seconds of that round, because she was body blocking for Savani to defuse. That way, Savani already took a little bit of, or some hits, took a little bit of damage. So she's using herself just to mitigate any kind of damage Savani would be taking to guarantee that plant. And that's just the kind of trust you need in your teammate, especially in early rounds like this. You need that kind of trust because, you know, you're not going to be able to kill them because you're sitting on the spike. So you need your teammate to kill them. And that's exactly what Carrots did.
And the Terps will head into round number 2 with a bye. This time, UTD looking like they're more so scaled up towards this A site in the face of Soap's setup. And the Terps are intentionally leaving Soap alone on the site because she has so much help from all her bots there. But they do have numbers here right outside of Art, and it might pay off as soon as this Yoru peeks into 2 of the Terps. Does get a headshot on Savai, doesn't do too much damage with a classic, thankfully. The Yoru is able to TP back, and now the alarm bells have sounded on this A side, and Carrot's going to throw down that smoke, and the Terps have a lot of time here that UTD is starting to waste.
Yeah, the problem is UTD doesn't really have any space. You know, now they're leaving A site completely, so they have to re-clear everything, and this is the perfect chance for the Terps to take up a little bit of space, but not too much so that they don't give up a gun. But I like how they're still staying put and waiting for them to push something. And I guess the gamble's going to work right where they're going to push through Art, and they're going to be met with the Sova and Savani here too.
Yeah, Trace and Savani both have eyes on Art, but Trace does get blocked off by that Cypher cage. It's going to be actually up to Davy Jones, who's working in from mid. Does get the lurk, but the rest of the team has found their way comfortably onto the site. And Savani does escape with her life, but she's backed up along with the rest of her team into Flowers here and into Dugout. They've done a little bit of damage here to UTD, but they still have a lot of players left on this roster alive. Savani has creeped her way up into Dugout. There are some Cypher trips on site. Is Savani going to run into those? No, she tries to kill one of the Cypher trips, but instead she gets killed herself. Davy Jones and Soap having a massive round, and all that's left is this Yoru that Carrots is able to take care of with a Guardian in hand, and that was a stellar retake.
Yeah, I mean, stellar is an understatement. I mean, they all grouped up and they understood what every other person was doing, and that's hard to do. But the chemistry of this team is so great to the point, like, you don't even have to talk, you just understand.
Yeah, they just seem to have a really planned call there of, okay, like, we've lost a player, we're not going to panic, we're going to regroup here on Flowers and just play numbers. You know, even with Savani getting killed, they're able to regroup and not panic. Yeah,
that was kind of a little bit of a funny kill, you know, walking right out of cover and then you get right-clicked. The luck on that was kind of funny, but the Terps were able to secure that round. So now this is the first buy round of UTD. The Terps still able to save a lot of their guns, and Carrot, again, trying to jump, get a little bit of information, does not take any damage, though, but at least has some sort of understanding that there might be people, more than one, on B long. And Savani's going to challenge this lurking Cypher. Doesn't get anything, takes a little bit of damage.
Yeah, Cypher did not want any part of that. Meanwhile, the rest of their team has made their way through Carrot's smokes and onto the site. But Carrot's is not budging, but she does get killed eventually. And Davy Jones aggressively peeks out. It doesn't work out for her, though, getting instantly killed. And now it's up to the rest of the Terps here, who are slowly but surely making their way on to this site through mid, and they're all three grouped together here, so they're going to have to peek these angles really strategically to not all get picked off by a collat or something like that. But first, they have got to work through this smoke. They're going to throw down some Trace's initiator utility. Somebody's going to throw in a dash or a couple smokes there and peek around through them, but she looks away at just the wrong time yet again. So does Soap, and now it's all up to Trace with a Spectre in hand, and wouldn't be surprised if she's just looking for exit frags here.
And we'll know exit frags are going to come her way, so I think the smart thing is just to die by Spike here so you don't have to save the Spectre. And a little bit of a rough round for the Terps, but you know they're already one round ahead, so this will now be their bye round. So this is going to be the most fairest round of them all.
Yeah, economy-wise, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're up against Vandals and, you know, a full buy last round, like you said, and they were only bonusing. So here we are, even playing field with weapons. No ultimates online quite yet, but yeah, UTD is in this game.
Yeah, and let's look at the ultimate economy real quick. I see a lot of ults starting to pop up, so we're going to have some sort of ultimate fight in the next round or two, depending on how many ult orbs UTD get this round. I see the Astra is one away from the wall, which is very deadly, especially if you're attacking that B site. And we do see kind of a split here, an unusual split where it's a 2-3. Most of UTD's players are trying to find some space mid.
Yeah, this is different from UTD. They haven't done a split push so far. Will the Terps be able to respond to this? There is contact right outside of mid, so Carrot's going to throw down a stun, and meanwhile she's going to peek off of it and finds a pick thanks to Davy Jones's flash, but Davy Jones had to sacrifice her own life, but the fight is not done for Carrots, but she does get killed trying to fight for sight, and she's actually lost sight completely, and now has to rely on the rest of her team to retake. It's going to be hard because they're getting picked off. Tracy not even able to make it up into mid, and now Savani has a lot of space to fight for, and her and Soap are just in completely different places of this map, and all that's going to happen is they're going to have to really get onto the site quickly and find those picks long and somehow defuse this spike. So there's no one positioned on site. They're going to be able to clear halls, no problem. The issue is going to be long, and that spike is already starting to tick down. Carrots threw down a one-way. Soap peeks out with a Vandal. Does not like what she's seen.
Yeah, this is going to be a save for this round. Smart save. At least you can save a few Vandals going into the next round. But man, that long post plant is just so hard to deal with, especially if you're down numbers. That's just the nature of B site, is you can just stay down long, spam spike, and it's really hard to get any movement if you're on the defense side. So the Terps are going to get sent into some kind of half buy. We do see a third rifle being purchased here, maybe trying to find some sort of luck, but the way the Terps are positioned is they're expecting some kind of mid or A push.
Yeah, they're really placing their bets on this A site, and it may work out as we're seeing another split slightly in favor of this A site. And yeah, some of the cage utility is going to be shot, but still, I like how the Terps are not really putting all their eggs in one basket here. They are really spread out across the site. And look at the space that Savani and Davy Jones have taken into mid.
Oh yeah, this is huge. They know that they're split because now there's shots being fired on B long and A main. So this is going to be a great shot by Davy Jones to open up to get the first kill of this round. That's already one gun out of the hands of UTD.
Yeah, they have really good positioning right now, and they may just peek out into window there. Sabani and Davy Jones both there defending mid, and they for themselves have found 2 picks so far. They're not done. Davy Jones going to peek out, but Sabani also gets killed, and that leaves it to an even playing field, and UTD as a response going to run over to this B site where Karis is waiting with only a Sheriff. Does get an eye on some of those UTD attackers, and she's just going to use her wall to peek inside and outside, but she does get killed by that gun diff there. So Spike should be able to be planted for UTD, and it is going to be up to Trace and Soap to work around this Astra wall. And like you said, they're in another tough position because these UTD players are positioned in long. So they're really going to have to opt to find these kills before the Spike has any chance of being defused. They're going to have to act pretty quickly here. They don't want to let the spike tick down too much, but the UTD players are being really strategic about not peeking out, not giving any fights for free here. But Soap does get a good pick to open up this retake. So does Trace, and Soap is hunting for more. Only one player in their way. Soap gets killed. Can Trace close out this round? She hops off of bomb, hops back on bomb. The jiggle peek is there, and eventually Trace does get killed. But honestly, once the bomb gets planted, it's just mind games at that point.
Yeah, I mean, that was still a really good try by both players. I mean, it's just really hard, you know, especially like trying to retake B. I keep saying this, but it's just really hard to get any momentum when you have or at maximum 5 guns shooting at you down long. In last round's case, it was 3, but even still, those were really good kills, and there was definitely a really good chance that they had once they got it down to a 2v1.
Yeah, that's the problem with B is they're really only putting Carrots over there, and if Carrots is not able to hold it down, the retake is really difficult. This round starting off on a good note, though, with Davy Jones getting a pick with the Sheriff, and it does look like we're seeing a lot more pressure on the A site than we have in the past. That's going to be reinforced by this KJ ultimate invested for UTD, that the Terps are not going to fight. Instead, they're going to push off. They're going to just kind of give UTD sight here as a result of that KJ ultimate, but they're just waiting to flood back onto the site and fight for the retake that they believe is coming their way. Although Savani gets killed, that's a really important player for UMD, already killed, and she's really good on the retakes. That's gotta hurt, but Davy Jones making her utility work for her, and also her gun at that matter, and she's just charging in from Art here.
Davy Jones with a beautiful 4K.
Yeah, what a amazing round there for Davy Jones. And also Trace had a really good round there. She just barely held on for dear life, but man, she really got some kills when it mattered the most, and so did Davy Jones. And now I think the Terps feel really confident about this A site. The only problem is B.
Yeah, so I mean that raises the question: are they going to switch up what they're doing and maybe put some more people towards B, like put Soap towards B or something instead of that A, and maybe switch Carrots over? Like that's the question. And we are going into a timeout, so maybe that's something that's going to be discussed. Is like, you know, how do we go about the defensive side on B for the next few rounds? Like, what's going to happen here?
I would really love to see Soap set up on B. And I know that's part of the reason why A has been successful, is because Soap has been able to set up there. But A is such an easier site to retake than B is. So I feel like if they really focus their efforts on defending B and not playing retake on B, and then more so leaving A to be the site that they opt to play retake on, that may be a better play call if they're struggling with really being able to defuse that bomb, because UTD is planting it for long every single time, and they're doing the same play where they hide behind pillar every single time, and that's so hard to go up against no matter what utility you have. So I think that's something that Coach Desi's got to be considering.
Yeah, and I mean, even the fact that if Carrots were to leave B, her presence still wouldn't be gone. I mean, you can use Astra abilities from anywhere across the map. That's the beauty of that character. But then you'd have the added components of the KJ setup. But it looks like they're going to do something a little different, where they're going to put 3 players towards the side of B, and it might pay off, because it does look like most of UTD is going B, and Savani already starting off with a really aggressive push. Not going to find anything. UTD playing a little more passive for the start of this round, and we do see the Yoru. So this is going to get a lot of space for UTD, and yeah, just the pings from the Yoru, and they do cancel in halls.
There's so much space that Yoru bought with that ultimate that looked like B. They were going to have B, and then all of a sudden, they completely lost it. Savani got backed up here, up into mid, and now they have to retake yet again on this B site. And they're going to have to do so in the face of this
beautiful shots! Oh my god!
Oh, wow. Savani just is a demon with the knives, but isn't going to be enough to give her team a round win. She was able to prevent Spike from being planted in the moment, but they're going to be able to regain Spike control and get that Spike down. Trace and Soap yet again just trying to make this retake work, and bomb is still not planted. Soap's gonna peek out and find the player on site. The only remaining player is left up into halls, and it's gonna just run away actually after getting any space away from those two. But man, Savani is the whole reason why the Terps have any chance right now.
Crazy.
That was crazy. And I don't think the Terps know yet that this was a really, really fast run to A, because they're still posted up on this B site. And now Bomb's going to have enough time to get planted here on A. And now the Terps have got a retake together. Soap's going to wait for Trace there. And the Yoru's actually peeking out, it looks like. Are they going to be able to double swing this Yoru peeks? And it will be Soap.
Beautiful shots.
Oh my goodness. Savani, though.
Wow. Like, somebody has to get a fire extinguisher for a mouse, because that was a crazy play.
Yeah,
I'm in shock. But I mean, that's what you expect to see from these players. Like, is that kind of skill. They put the practice in. They've definitely prepared well, but just the sheer confidence that Savani showed in that one play, just to dash out in the middle of the air, like you're a sitting duck especially if you're in the air, facing 3 different players, but she killed all 3.
Yeah, now she's got an operator, and she's going to be posted up B long. And I do like that the Terps tried to, instead of putting Soap's setup on B, they tried to hold B by just placing more numbers there. It still didn't quite work out, though. They weren't able to stop like the plan and the site execute, though. So that's something they have to consider for the next couple defensive rounds, although it doesn't look like they're going to have to worry about that this round, as it is going to be A/mid presence here from UTD. They don't have a great buy, so the Terps should have at least a gun advantage here.
Savani might be able to get this kill here on the KJ.
Oh yeah, she's waiting for a peek to come her way. Is the KJ going to inch into frame? And
Beautiful
it will
shot.
be the deadly blow delivered by Savani with that operator. Now UTD knows that operator's in play, and that's going to further encourage them to, I wouldn't be surprised to hit this A side. They know that operator's B, so I don't see why they would go there.
Yeah, they're probably going to regroup here, figure out what they're doing. Carrots might be met with this Yoru.
Yeah, Carrot's just waiting for a peek. Her crosshair's in the right place, though, as she only holds on to 5 HP and is able to escape with her life. Meanwhile, the rest of UTD is making this A site work out for them. They've gained a lot of space here, but they are not able to clear backside because of these Cypher trips, and Trace is going to take advantage of that and swing out and does find that pick, and she's hunting for more, does find the Cypher as well. And now there's only this Asher to worry about up in main, and Trace is going to be the one to peek out for that pick as well, and Soap's gonna run with her, and it will be Trace, though.
Beautiful 3K.
Yeah, what a round from Trace, and what a just good kill from Carrots in the early stages of that round, and she's able to hold on to her gun miraculously as well. And the Terps seem to have found a good little run here after losing a couple rounds.
Yeah, they definitely have found their footing. And I think it's kind of funny because they're like trading off. Who's the MVP of what round? Last round, or 2 rounds ago, Savani. That round, it was Trace. And I wonder who it's going to be next round.
You never know with this team, and that's something that we really saw in their grand finals match last week. Soap had just an insane, couple games, 3 games there. She was actually top fragging for her team as a Sentinel. So it's really unexpected of which player is going to shine in each round, in each map. And that's what makes this Terps GC Premier team really special. But here we are with another B hit. The Terps have got to have an answer to stop this plant onto B, because the retake is difficult, and it's Carrots right now alone.
Yeah, they do have the power to rotate a little bit, and it looks like they're going to do just that by sending Trace to the other site.
Oh, and they're just about to make contact with Carrots. It looks like the Yoru does catch eyes on Carrots, though. But like you said, Trace is able to rotate and get in position to help out Carrots, although it does look like UTD is not budging. They still want to hit this B site. But now Carrots just has the support of Trace there to buy more time for the rest of her team to rotate if that play call does come through, which it might as soon as Trace catches an eye on this Yoru. Just honestly, just like the calm before the storm right now, because as soon as one pick happens and this wall comes down, the rest will come flooding in as UTD comes storming into this east side. Carrots gets two crazy picks right on the other side of that UTD wall and was able to stop this bomb from being planted, and there's a counter ult in order from Soap. Although she does get killed, her ultimate remains, and Carrots is taking full advantage of that. Ultimate gonna detain one player. Can they track down this player in time? It looks like they are B-long. Carrots peeks out to try to find the detained player, but she does get killed, and this Astra's on a rampage for UTD, and it's put the Terps in a really awkward position in a round that looked so good for them at the start. It's just Savani left in a clutch scenario, and they're gonna instead place one person long, one person halls, and Savani does have an operator. Is this Yoru going to peek out is the question, or is Savani expecting that they're both positioned up into long? But the bomb's planted somewhere different, so that may kind of sound some alarm bells for Savani, but not before the Astra utility makes that very difficult for her. But man, that round looked good for a while, and all of a sudden that Astra just popped off.
Yeah, I mean, it might have just been a really lucky spray transfer that they had, but the Terps definitely had that in the bag. I mean, it was a 4v2 with Savani being on A site, but even the fact that like, disregard the fact that they lost. They still have built up a very good economy. Savani still can repurchase that op, and it's going to be set towards the A site, which I don't know if she's going to be able to get a pick here unless the Cypher is really curious and wants to push up a little more. But if anything, Davy Jones might have the first engagement of this round.
Only alarm bot kind of saving those Terps in mid, you know, giving them a sign that there was a player lurking up into mid, but meanwhile they have bigger fish to fry here on this B site. Yet again, they've given up the site, and Carrots getting picked off in the early stages of this round is gonna hurt their retake efforts without that Astra utility available. Will the Terps be able to finally have an answer to this B site retake? We are going to have to see, as it looks like the majority of the Terps are posted up together on this flank, but they have a Cypher trip that they had to break, and now they're forced to just peek and take these engagements. Trace does get a pick, and she's dancing around the Cypher cage, fully flash. It's going to be Soap and Davy Jones to help her out there, and Soap on site is able to find some opening in the chaos of it all.
I mean, whoever called that flank that was a really good idea. I mean, they were numbers down for a little bit, but like the play of Savani and who else was it?
It was Savani and Trace together.
That's right. Okay, yeah. Both Savani and Trace. I mean, just they're like a tag team duo. They're inseparable. And that KO flash out of the Cypher out of the Cypher cage was perfect. Everybody got flash from it. I mean, obviously Savani got flash too, but you know, Trace is able to come in support of Savani and kill the rest of UTD.
Oh, and Savani's pushing up with an operator into so many players. She's full flash and able to hold on to her life and that operator. Wow. Oh my goodness. She's got to be so happy to just escape alive with an operator. And she's able to reposition backside and look back into A main, but there's a smoke blocking her vision of a shot. She does see the fade cross. It fires a shot into the smoke, but nothing quite lands yet. Forced to give up sight, but Trace is in dugout still, being really stubborn about keeping any sort of sight control.
Oh, and Soap gets 3.
Oh my goodness, Soap is having such a good game, and Davy Jones tries to fight to close out the round, but not going to be able to quite do so. Terps have good spike control for the moment. This Astra's way off site, and it's going to be harder for them to crawl their way back into good position because of this carrot smoke. Oh, and Trace's drone just misses the Astra. Savani gets killed also. Is it all crumbling for the Terps? I don't know. It's too early to call, but man, it's definitely scary. You cannot count this round quite over yet.
30 seconds
and the Terps are just being really patient, just waiting for time to tick down, forcing this Astra to plant before giving them any fights to take. And oh no, this Astra is on the brink of an ace. It's up to Trace in a 1v1. Bomb is not planted, so Trace is doing a good job at really just playing time here. But once the smoke dissipates, all cards are laid out on the table, and Trace is going to be the calm, cool, and collected Terp to close out a nearly lost round. It was really close.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of these really close rounds, and it's like we're on the edge of our seats when we're watching it. But that was really good positioning by Trace to just wrap the smoke. Like, I don't think I would have thought of that, but that's, you know, that's the nature of, again, the skill and the preparedness of these players. As they've played this game a lot. They understand how it works. They know the ins and outs of it. And Trace saw that opening, immediately went for it, and finished up. And Savani does get taken down, misses the op shot.
Oh, you hate to see that operator get taken down so early, and the shot didn't land, no damage done. It's gotta hurt for the Terps, but they gotta bounce back because they have a B retake, presumably ahead of them, as Carrots is on the wrong side of this Astra wall she gets peeked out into. So does Davy Jones, so does Trace. Oh no, this Yoru is on an absolute rampage and is looking for Soap as well. Will Soap put a stop to it? Yes, at least we have spared the ace. But Soap just trying to do as much damage as she possibly can here, even though bomb is already ticking, and she hits a really clean shot. She might just try to find any more picks she can, but they're going to be hunting for her, and she invests a KJ ultimate, honestly, unexpected. It's going to give her a little bit more time, but the bomb is taking down really fast right now. She doesn't have a lot of time to work with here. There's all 3 UTD players are positioned into long, and Spike is long gone at this point. And she is not going to be able to win, but she had a couple of really, really clean shots there.
Yeah, but now the fun part comes into play where they get to go on the attack side now, and I mean they get to abuse this B site post plant.
Yeah, because it's been such a problem for them on the defense, and now they can kind of use what was working against them in their favor. And I know when I've seen Terps GC in the studio in previous weeks, they've really struggled on the defense on this map because of that B site. I think everyone does. B site is really hard. So knowing that, they can take full advantage of it, as it looks like they're planning to do in this upcoming round. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw a mid to B hit. Yeah, so there is a lot of pressure right off the bat into mid. It's going to be led by Savani peeking out. Is going to maybe peek out all the way into this Astra, and she does get the pick on that Astra. Just charging, guns blazing out into mid, although Savani's rampage does come to an end. But the rest of her team is working off the space she created, and Soap is able to get that trade for Savani, and it is going to be a mid to A push, but UTD's got to be aware of this Carrots lurk, as Carrots is still waiting patiently and might peek out into this Yoru at any second now. Yeah, I think she has just an inkling that there's someone mid, but didn't get the timing quite right. But meanwhile, things are kind of falling apart on site for the Terps as Davy Jones does get killed. Savani Soap barely alive, and she does ultimately get killed. And Trace and Carrots somehow able to turn the round around. Oh my goodness. Carrot's positioning was really good there. It didn't look like it for the moment because she missed the timing there in the mid, but the flank that she was able to cook up was really all the difference.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the timing was missed in mid, but that was like the perfect late flank you could have too. It took her so long just to peek out in a mid and get any sort of momentum. That's incredible patience for one, but two, that's like, you know, just the amount of time that has elapsed from the spike. You're not expecting a flank at that point. And Carrots took she took advantage of that to its like utmost or we'll say utmost advantage at this point.
Looks like there is a default right now from the Terps. They're really spread out all across the map, really neglecting the spike for now, just looking to play off of any information they get in the early stages here. Savani is making a bit of noise there onto A site, and meanwhile there is just a slow push up into B long, but there's a lot of KG utility up into B. Still, the Terps have not picked up spike though. They're just kind of waiting to see where these UTD defenders are positioned, and it looks like the play call is actually going to be to rotate over towards B and leave Soap as a lurk here up into Art.
Yeah, I like this lurk play from Soap because there's no real gun that she could give to UTD. She does get taken down, but now the site is essentially the Terps, and Savani might try to get this one on the back, but everybody's flooding in.
Oh, Davy Jones getting off bomb at just the right time in order to get that pick, but now she's gonna stick it while Savani is still in halls getting those picks there. And the Terps are now on the other side of what gave them so many issues on the defensive side, which is they're in a post plant here on this B site, and they are just waiting for UTD to flood in, and Trace is going to be the one to make this contact here on that fade. Savani's going to peek out and find that pick as well, and that was, I'm sure, a sigh of relief from the Terps of, hey, you know, B site's fine, we just got to be on the attack side.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and now it's going to start to kick in some thoughts for UTD, because now they've won a site technically on A, and they also won on B too. So where are they gonna go?
Yeah, they can hit either site here, and what I liked about that B hit is they really didn't focus on B long, because that's where the KG utility was really set up to prevent. So they were able to kind of avoid that by going mid to B as a result of the default that they had. So it looks like they're opting for a default yet again because it worked out for them really well in the previous round with Soap likely going to end up being the lurk yet again. But this time they're having more success here on this A site with Savani looking like she was thinking of peeking out of that smoke for a moment. Now that smoke is about to dissipate, they might like their chances here on A, but everything's more or less quiet for now. They've got to watch out for this Yoru that's taking a lot of space in the mid, and also this Fade who just destroyed any chance we had up on this A site. But now the Yoru will become an issue for Carrots. Carrots does get eyes on that Yoru, but does not want to take any unnecessary fights here. Instead, she's going to try and support her team the best she can in their efforts to take this B site in the late stages of this round. Now, who will win this mid fight? It's a Sheriff versus a Vandal on the other side of this door. Soap peeks out, and the Yoru's try to spam, but no one quite dies yet. Meanwhile, the rest of her team trying to make this B long push work. And this has just been a really slow round, kind of from both sides here. Not a lot of aggression from the defense in response to the slowness that the Terps have really put up here. But it does look like it may all work out in the end for them as they're able to find their way to this B site. Trace does get traded, but time is ticking down. They've got to get on this plant before the 4-second mark hits. And oh no, I think they've just lost the round because of the time was ticking down too much. And because it was such a slow round, they really paid for it in the end there.
Yeah, I mean, I think their whole purpose of that round was maybe just to try to see if they can't get any more guns before the end of the round. I mean, having Spike down would also be a huge benefit, but you know, trying to get some of those kills, take out some of UTD's economy, I think was their underlying goal. But even with that said, they're still looking really good with guns now. That was their bonus round. And as we go into this next round, they're gonna looks like they're gonna go towards A site. They need to be really careful about this Cypher trip. It does get taken out, and I really like this KO ult here because that gives him so much space, and it's just a really quick plant. Most of UTD has not rotated yet. It's like now they have. They're just playing a little further back in case they go, or in case Terps go aggressive. And
oh, this Fade. Yet again, causing so many issues for the Terps, and they're gonna pop their Fade ultimate to try and help their team in this retake. Is Soap the only last-ditch effort that the Terps have to take down this Fade? Soap does do the job, but meanwhile, Carrots trying to make things work into main, and she does have a smoke going for her, and she does have Soap to peek out and cause a little bit of a distraction from Art, but they're just gonna really not give up any fights that don't need to be taken, force the push up into Carrots. Carrots just pulls out her utility at the wrong time, but still it will be a round win for the Terps in the end. And Soap's positioning, I believe, is what really secured that round for them.
Yeah, no, I agree. And going into the next round, the economy is going to look a little different because that was also UTD's buy round. Both teams had full rifles. The Terps are able to prevail and save one. I think it was a Vandal. So the economy is going to look a little weird on both sides, but the Terps are still able to manage up a full buy. But so is UTD too. That's kind of surprising.
The Terps are kind of knocking on the door here. They're kind of nearing closing map number 1 out if they can just have a really strong next couple attack rounds. This time they're putting a lot of pressure up into mid, but they're kind of slowed down by the smoke that's there, but they're going to push out of it regardless. Savani does get that pick on the Yoru. That's kind of been an issue for the Terps, so getting that Yoru down so quickly is going to be definitely helpful in their efforts on post-plant, and that's going to kind of influence them to hit this B site. They do have a lot of Cypher utility here, which I'm sure they were not expecting considering it was posted up onto A in that previous round, and it's the spam through that Cypher utility that's giving them so many issues on the other side of that Astra Smoke. Savani trying to make another hero play with her knives, but it's going to be Soap who's starting to really hurt the numbers there for UTD on that lurk.
Yeah, and Soap takes out the Fade, and they've definitely had some problems and some beef with the Fade the last couple rounds. So Savani is left in halls here. Spike is still not planted yet, but looks like they're going to try to get the plan out now. Carrots does take out that Cypher.
Yeah, they gotta gonna get bombed down soon. They're having trouble getting it down because picks are still going back left and right. Finally, Carrots able to plant that spike, and now they are going to take a page out of UTD's book and play this post plant in the B long position. There is some smokes there. The Astra just trying to hide in their smoke and avoid taking those B long fights. But Carrots gonna push through and give herself 3 kills for that round, and now the Terps are at 11 and they are really close to closing out map number 1.
Yeah, they are inching their way to their first round win of the series. And just going back to that last round, that last fight was kind of chaotic. I mean, like, you had people walking out of every different spot onto site, and it was like, where are they going to come from next? Like, I was surprised that Cypher walked through Heaven. I wouldn't have done that personally, because you don't really have anybody to back up if you die. But I mean, the Terps able to save two of their guns and come out with a round win, so that's definitely going to hurt UTD's economy.
Well, Savani will be the one to take the first blood here into this next round, and she does so not super aggressively. Actually, they don't really take much space off of it. They're just kind of dealing with that fade, who, like you said, it just sometimes has gone on a complete killing streak and just takes down 3 of our players all of a sudden. So getting that fade taken down is going to be really important for the Terps later on, as they're favoring the B site yet again because they've had success on it recently. However, they've got to be aware of some of the Cypher utility that kind of caused some issues in the early stages of that last round. It's placed on B yet again.
Yeah, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The only problem is they going against the Cypher, they're really good at dismantling the utility when the Cypher's on A site, but when it's on B site, there's a lot more areas the Cypher trip could be. Like in the last round, Trace ended up dying because of a really weird Cypher trip, but it looks like they're gonna do a full-scale rotate because Soap has a lot of space up in mid through Art. Yep. And it's gonna be a really close one too. They're gonna have to plant as soon as they get on the site.
Yeah, they do have time to plant, and now UTD is rotating, but Soap is in a really good position to catch this Astra off guard.
Oh no, but the spike.
What happened? The spike did not get planted.
I just don't think there was much area to plant on the on site because there was KJ mollies everywhere.
Wow. See, that's where those KJ mollies can really influence the round when it comes down to just seconds like that. I really thought they were gonna have time to plant it. I think they tried, and maybe Planter died there.
Yeah, I think Savani tried to plant, but that was like the key for UTD to just full scale rush into site. See if you can get that planter. If you can get that planter, then you have the round.
So this time, instead of taking that mid control, the Terps just going to opt for a good old-fashioned 4-person site exec here into B long. They're going to use Carrot's ultimate to try and close off any entryways onto the site. But the Yoru is just hanging out into halls and is able to take down Davy Jones. Savani able to get that trade finally. And Soap also making things work for her team in order to get this bomb down and just wait for this Astra wall to do its thing and waste some more time. But Soap does finally get that kill on the Astra. She teased that kill in the last round, but didn't quite go her way.
They're going to love this. The Cypher is sitting Heaven with an Odin. They do not have a good history with the Odin, so
oh, wow.
Maybe Savani might take the first gander at killing the Cypher.
She may have good timing here because look at the Cypher's
beautiful shot by Carrots.
Yeah, good job by Carrots, and now that all there is this Odin, and Savani does peek out, and I kind of had a feeling Savani was gonna take care of that Odin because I don't think the Cypher really knew to watch halls. He was kind of looking back and forth, hall CT. So I had faith that the Terps were gonna get that Odin out of play as soon as possible.
Yeah, I mean that's something I've seen that's pretty common in this match is if you stay halls long enough, then somebody will think that there's nobody there because if you already have made noise getting on the site, then why wouldn't they have already peeked from halls? And it happened on both sides too. I saw it happen with the Terps a couple times, and it just happened with UTD as well. But that's just the patience of whoever's sitting halls. And Savani's going to be met with a Bucky.
Oh, wow. She does have a Vandal. That Yoru going to use their ultimate to get out of that pickle with Savani and Davy Jones both taking a lot of space there. But the Yoru is actually worked deep into her spawn. It's going to TP away, actually, for a moment. That was a little bit scary. But still, we were able to avoid dying as a result of that Yoru ultimate. And does look like things have calmed down for the attack, although there might be a fight mid as soon as Trace's drone does catch eyes on their positioning up into mid. Carrots does get a pick, but yeah, it's gonna be a mid fight, and finally Soap will get the trade, but not after Savani dies, and now the Terps can really decide to hit either site here. Looks like they have left Davy Jones on 2A, so wouldn't be surprised if this was a art to site push, but they've got to deal with this Yoru who's just waiting for a push to come their way.
I mean, this is map point. So if they can somehow squeeze one more win out of this map, then they're good. And the KJ ult comes down from Soap. This is going to be great for just getting on site and getting the bomb down because they have man advantage. They can easily take care of post plant.
Yeah, and they've got those mollies set up perfectly to even make this post plant any easier. And they're going to play off sites here. All of the remaining 4 players for the Terps going to play off site. Trace going to invest that Sova ultimate to buy even more time, do a little bit of damage along the way. And Davy Jones does get down in her ultimate. She's able to get res, presumably, if the Terps can get to her. But Soap is just killing all these players on the site. And now it's the Yoru with only a couple HP in the way of the Terps. And map number 1 win. But the job is not done for the Terps. This Yoru is still alive. Davy Jones peeks out.
Great flank, but Davy Jones does take the last kill of the map. That was a great map.
Yeah, it felt really good for the Terps. You know, there was really nowhere where they were like sweating and saying, okay, we might lose this map, guys. Like they felt as soon as the half switch, especially, they looked really dominant, and I didn't see them start to sweat at all.
Yeah, I mean, they just looked confident throughout the entire map. I mean, go back to that one play by Savani too. Just the confidence in this game is, you know, just early on in the series is exactly what you need when you're going into a match like this. Like, like mind you, this is a pretty high stakes match too. So that's the kind of like confidence you want. You cannot be nervous. You can't be anxious about it. You got to go in full strength and take what you need.
Yeah, that's exactly what they were able to do here on Pearl. So we'll cut to a quick commercial break, and we'll catch you guys for map number 2 shortly.
My name is Subin Kim, my in-game name is Carrots, and I'm the controller of this team.
My name is Hannah, my IGN is Tuxedo Sam, and I play Sentinel for the team.
My name is Sima, my in-game name is Care Bear, and I'm a flex.
My name is Megan, my IGN is Giraffe, and I'm an initiator.
My name is Sophia, my IGN is Soap, and I'm an initiator.
Hi everyone, I'm Ayush, my in-game name is Dulcexo, and I'm the coach.
For me, I think it was just really interesting to see like our names on like social media and like on a website. I'm just like, whoa, my name is on a website but so I think that was like the number one thing that kind of like just it brought the realization of like what kind of team I'm in, like what kind of position I'm in.
Meeting them. It's like hard to make a woman and non-binary friends in Valorant, so it's just really nice that we have like a team specifically for that.
The studio.
Yeah.
Oh, the studio. Oh, I didn't even know that existed. I didn't know that existed until like remember like when we first talked about the studio, I was like, what's that? When I first went to the room, I was like, oh, there's cameras and lighting. I'm just like, that's
Nice computer.
Nice computer.
The monitors
So
are crazy.
Winning.
Yeah, winning.
Oh, so true.
Yeah.
W winning.
Getting into that.
Yeah, that
Yeah, I feel like
was pretty cool.
hey. I would say supportive is definitely like Dusty and Rachel. Those two, just like making sure we had scrims down, making sure we had practice schedules down, like Dusty making sure like to pick out what we did wrong, just like, you know, helping us improve. I think definitely.
Yeah, Dusty's a very present coach, so
Very.
it's like he's really reliable and helped us through the whole season.
Thanks, team.
Yeah, you'd even like schedule things for us,
like organize all the schedules.
help us map bands and like talk to
Stats,
them
yeah.
if like realize if one of them was like unranked or something. Breaking a
Forfeit
rule.
teams.
Making teams forfeit.
Maybe we don't talk about that last part.
I would also say like our fans in chat, like on
Oh,
stream.
true.
So it was nice knowing
W
people
chat.
watching us.
And the haters.
Oh yeah.
Improve in the higher division.
Yeah, it is definitely more challenging because we're in a higher division now. But I think we could, like, with our coordination, I definitely think we could. We need to bring home another one of these.
It feels great.
You
Yeah.
guys know this is the first title that Terps Esports has won.
Wait,
And by
really?
women.
Yeah. Oh, seriously? Oh, cool.
I like playing Valorant.
Have an excuse to play games.
True, that's true. That's good.
For me, I joined because, well, like I've always wanted to be on a women's team, especially like since I got to UMD, and me and Dusty had always like tried to make teams work every semester, and this was the first time it actually did work and stuck, and the people who tried out like were committed. So I guess I've always just wanted to be on a women's team to like connect more to that community.
To make friends.
So I had that gap, without a team for a while, and then I saw the form, and I was like, I really want to try this. This sounds fun. And then, yeah, I play Valorant too much. First of all, I did not imagine me being IGL when I first started, because I am, outside of my Lilac team, I am known as the no brain, only aim chamber in comp. So I did not imagine myself being IGL. But I think there were some difficulties in the beginning because I wasn't used to giving out comms. I was just very confused. But I think now it's just the amount of trust that my teammates give me when I give out comms and the amount of coordination that we have. I just love being IGLing because I trust that things will work out. Hey everybody, welcome back. We are excited to head into map number 2 because we had a really strong map number 1. So that should be lots of things to be excited for, and I'll let you introduce the map. Let's hear
Yes, so obviously map 1 was really good. Surprisingly, that was not our pick. It was actually UTD's pick. Our pick tonight is Fracture, and throwback to last week, Fracture was probably our best map when we played in the NECC finals for Division 6, right? Yeah, something like that. So I'm really, really excited and confident that this team can definitely pull something out.
Yeah, we had a really strong performance on Fracture, and one thing that I heard from Carrots about their performance on Fracture is that the other team picked a chamber, and Carrots said, I'm a chamber main. I know how to counter you. And she did it really well. So if UTD decides to pick a chamber, which is a pick on this map for sure, how
it's not looking good for them at that point.
Yeah, because Carrots really did a good job at countering that chamber, and that's essentially her job as a controller there. So, yeah, they have definitely a fight coming their way if they pick chamber. But I do think you mentioned they may have somebody subbing in too.
Yeah, I think I heard from one of the players just in the background that UTD will be subbing in one person. We don't know exactly who yet, but that is to be determined when we get into the game. And it does look like they are subbing in. The Cypher will be subbing in Glitch, I believe is their new player.
There's Yoru again.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, Yoru here on Fracture and a Sage Hover. Interesting. Okay, got my hopes up. However, for the Terps, it looks like things are going to be really just what we typically do. Terps are not, this is not a group that likes to play some, you know, new compositions every week. They're very consistent with who they pick. And this is a composition that we saw them play on last week when they were had a really good time on Fracture. So hopefully they're able to have equally as good a time again. And one thing I really do like about this composition is the Tejo.
Yeah, I mean, totally off topic, but like anytime there's a team that plays Fracture, I always like to say that there's some kind of orange composition, because if you look at the agent colors, like what they're wearing and stuff, like Brimstone has his orange hat, Raze has a whole orange theme,
Breach.
Tejo does, or it's more like orange yellow-ish. I forgot who the last one was. Oh, it's Breach.
Yeah, it's Breach.
Breach. So, I mean, that's just, I just think it's a little niche thing, and it's really only on Fracture too that you see that. I mean, maybe Fracture and Split too. But going back on topic.
That was fun. I enjoyed that. That was interesting.
I really do like this Tejo pick. I mean, Tejo has been absurdly strong with the util and damage he's able to put out through his missiles. And I think coupled with Breach, as long as you have some sort of second initiator that can either do more damage or stun, then you're in a really good position. The one thing I'm a little curious about is this Astra. I mean, typically you see a Brimstone being played, and that's what the Terps are showcasing this this map. But an Astra is a little interesting pick.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see if that Astra ends up being the move, because I mean, Astra's a good agent. However, on this map, typically you don't need a big range for smokes like you would on a map like Pearl. You can play Brimstone and, you know, have a good eyes on smokes for sight. But meanwhile, the Terps have started this round off on the attack. They're going to be charging in here, mostly grouped together onto B site. And they have a couple smokes to work through here. It looks like I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of divvied up there into heaven, but they're going to have to fight for that heaven control as they do get the pick off of Savani. But Terps are still kind of sitting outside of this B site here, looking like they still want to try and get a pick before they make up their mind of if they want to rotate or not. And it looks like Carrots is going to be the one to try and charge in to try and get some of this heaven control. She's got to work around a Yoru flash, though, and backs up for some safety, but she's getting shot from all over the place. And now the call for the rotate will come through, but meanwhile, Carrots has got to get out of there alive, or at least put up some kind of distraction, because Soap is still there, too, so they can really sell this B side if they want to. Yeah, and meanwhile, the rest of the team has completely. Carrots does lose her life, and now this Tejo for UTD is very aware of this plant that's happening. Davy Jones gonna peek out thanks to Trace's utility, able to secure that pick on the one player who was closest, and now they can just kind of let bomb tick down and wait for this retake to flood in.
Yeah, I mean, both players, or both sides, have players that are really low, so this is going to be an interesting fight. If the Terps can utilize the Tejo abilities just to get a little bit of damage off, then it's going to look really good. And Trace has already posted up for the Tejo missiles.
And Soap's going to peek right off of those missiles, and she does get killed, not able to find any success there. And the bomb was already halved, so with 0.73 seconds, UTD is able to take round number 1 here on Fracture.
Yeah, the Terps got to change up a little bit here. It's going to be an interesting round, and we see Davy Jones buying a share of some, or I guess they sold it again. But, I mean, attack is hard on, or in this specific round, because this map is, or has a lot of long range choke points and sight lines. It's really hard to take any space with a classic unless you like 5-man rush down a main, and or in this case they're gonna do through satellite down to drop.
Yeah, I do like this rush in from satellite because no one's playing on site here for UTD on the defense. They do have a lot of Ashe utility there, but meanwhile, like, no one's on site, so Savani's able to just happily satchel in, and suddenly the Terps have sight completely, but Carrots is getting picked off there from the flank, coming in from Satellite. Davy Jones with a classic, able to get a kill against that Bulldog and picks up the Bulldog to help the post-plant efforts of the Terps. And Savani does get picked outside of door there. So does Davy Jones. Is it all falling apart for the Terps? Yeah, it certainly seems that way with only Trace and a classic left. She's getting swung by 2 people, and that's going to be UTD putting up a show to get round number 2, and they're able to hold on to a good number of those Bulldogs that they purchased.
Yeah, so it's definitely going to give the Terps a challenge for next round now that they have rifles in hand, assuming they will buy rifles. But I mean, the nature of this map is that it is heavily attack sided, so if they can figure out their footing, they're going to be golden. Last time we did see them, struggle. I think they struggled a little bit on the attack side in the beginning, but then they just started sweeping everything. So if there's anything that's going to be like last game, I feel like it's going to be right now.
So UMD kind of just opting for the Soap Lurk as they've done in the past, and there's a lot of aggression outside of this B site off rip, but there is no Terps there to make any contact. Instead, they're going to follow Savani in as she is about to flood in on this A side. They're going to use Trace's tag utility, but they've got to work through a lot of these trips if they want to take any space on this site. They are able to down the trip because of Savani's nade. Savani satchels into sight right behind the Cypher, but it's going to be the Yoru that's going to take her out. Meanwhile, Trace will get the pick on the Cypher. It's going to buy the Terps just enough space to get decent sight control, but no one's got eyes on this Yoru who's just kind of sitting, waiting for a peek. And yeah, the Yoru does get another pick on Trace, and they've got to be aware of they're giving up so much space because they're just waiting for Soap to peek in from up heaven there, and she doesn't get a pick either. And yet again, this A post plant is all crumbling for the Terps.
This is not looking good. Going to the early rounds of Fracture. Maybe A is just not their site.
Yeah, it doesn't look that way. They had trouble hitting B, so they did rotate the one time they tried it, but I'd like to see them try and get bomb down on B.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's worth, defaulting a little bit. You have 4 different sites that you can push through, but now that I think about it, it might also be not a great idea, because last round we did see the Breach and the Yoru take a lot of space up through B main. It's kind of a gamble on where they're going to do that and if they are going to do that too. So it does look like they're going to do some sort of default here with Soap on the opposite side of the map.
Yeah, still some A presence, but not as just in a very different way than we've seen in the previous couple rounds. They've gone through door here, and they're being really quiet about their positioning right now, holding their cards close to their chest right now in terms of their positioning on this A site, because they're going to double back actually. And maybe Soap right now is calming that she's gaining a bit of traction here on B, and I think UTD is starting to get a little too aware of that for the Terps' liking right now, and a pick's gotta come the Terps' way if they're really gonna want success on this B site. But it doesn't start off great for them with Soap getting killed. And now this Tejo just caught eyes on so many Terps, and he's gonna peek out and try and get a pick or two, but Davy Jones is not having any of it. It's gonna go in guns blazing, and it's gonna be Carrots though who gets that sheriff pick. So a trade is really all the Terps have been able to kind of pull off on this B site for now, and knowing that, they're gonna run it back on A, which is actually a really good play call right now. A is completely clear with the exception of some Sentinel utility. But they've got to get on the site really fast and work through these trips as quickly as possible, because the alarm bells are sounding for UTD, and they're starting to flood it already through CT as they're going to realize with the Cypher making their way on this site. Bomb is down. Davy Jones fighting from up top, although she does get picked, and I just don't want to see another A post plant failed from the Terps. Can they hold on to the site for a little bit longer? Carrots full flash, but the flash dissipates. She gets a pick, but is shortly traded, and it is another A post plant that the Terps cannot hold down.
Yeah, they definitely got to try something different. Maybe even just going B overall and hitting a really fast B push. But I think that was a save round, was it? I think
Yeah,
so.
I don't think they've really been in a position to buy a lot since round 3.
And I feel like this might be the perfect time to call a timeout for the half. I would not. And we do get information that it is a timeout. So Dusty calling that well-timed timeout. I think this is the perfect time just to kind of reset the momentum, stop what UTD is doing, and kind of talk this through. Give some good coaches feedback on what has to happen.
Yeah, and the problem, round after round, seems to be this A post plant. They have no problem getting on site on A. They have no problem planting. And that's really Savani's job. Savani's job is to take that space, get site. They've done it in a couple different ways. They've gone through main, they've gone through door, they've gone through satellite, all of which have worked. However, the problem is they cannot get this post plant figured out. Meanwhile, on B, the problem seems to be they can't get on site on B. So it's a different type of problem. And it's a matter of which problem are they going to decide to address? I don't know. I'd really like to see them try B again because this Cypher is starting to set up A pretty consistently. And yet again, because of those problems that we've been having on the post plant. So, hey, we have a Teho ultimate. Let's try to use that to entry onto B maybe. But it does look like we are going to see more A aggression.
Yeah, like you said, a lot of A aggression. And it looks like they're not stopping. They're just going to go for it. But that's so much lost space from the Terps now that UTD has total control of B main, and they're kind of running out of ideas on what to do. They can either do like a full rotate onto the opposite side of the map. I mean, if they do that, then B would look pretty good.
Yeah, and for a moment, the Terps were backed up in their own spawn, but they got out of that situation, and they're skilled up towards B site, like you were saying. There is a lot of defending players there, position 3 of them to be exact, who are just waiting for this B execute to come through before making themselves known. Soap is on the lurk. This is really typical of what we've been seeing, and she might be in a really good position to catch that Cypher off guard, but in the meantime, it's the rest of the Terps who are just working patiently onto B side. Carrots does get killed. Trace is there, though, to secure the trade, so not all hope is lost, but time is really starting to tick down here. The Terps haven't made good progress on B yet, knowing that they're going to use Savani to take up as much space as possible, although she does get picked, and this breach for UTD is just causing so many issues, and the pick does come through for Soap to get that Cypher on the lurk, and Soap's lurk pays off massively. They don't even need to get this bomb down.
It was definitely a nice change of pace there now that the Terps have won their first round in this series, and I don't know what happened, but this UTD team has definitely stepped up. It might have been the fact that they did sub in that player.
Yeah, and it was the Cypher, like you said, who I think they have subbed in. And it's really been Soap versus that Cypher, I feel like, because they're both lurk players. So they usually just spot each other on the lurk in kind of an awkward sighting, and it's always a 1v1 for the most part. But man, look at this gamble stack on A site from UTD right now. And it's actually a bad play call from them. They gambled wrong, because look at the Terps. They're all the way here on B site. They haven't really taken much space. They're going to have to soon. They're going to have to fight that Teo if they want it. With that stun from Davy Jones going to help them do so. But man, they're actually in a really good position to set up themselves for a good post plan. It's the 1v1 of the two Cyphers yet again. And Soap, for the second time in a row, going to come out on top. And the Yoru ultimate is used for UTD. They're trying to get a read on where the positioning is for the Terps here. They're all up in tower here. And the Yoru actually gets out of their ultimate and does get a kill on Davy Jones. And Trace is full flash, but the Yoru slightly whiffs. Meanwhile, Soap just making things work for the Terps, finding 3 picks for herself. Savani's also able to get one now. They're able to just rely on Trace's Teho utility to secure this round in theory. But the Teho's going on an absolute rampage, and it's Teho versus Teho. 2 ultimates used, and Trace able to win that 1v1. finally things look like they're kind of going in the Terps' favor a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, go back to the Yoru whiff. That was I think they whiffed like 2 mags.
It happens.
It does happen to the best of us, but that's not what you want to see on the side of UTD. But on the good side, the Terps have gotten their second round. They invested a lot of ults in that round, but now that they have the momentum, they are going to have to work around some kind of ults battle. Maybe this round. UTD does have 4 ults to work with, but they're on sort of a half buy, and unlucky lucky from Savani to get that last kill, and lucky from Davy Jones to get that shot through the smoke. That's both of their really good players down.
Man, awesome job from Savani to just not panic in the face of that Cypher trip. And now the Terps looking like they have space here on A site. But are they going to be able to hold down this post plant? It looks like they're taking a little bit more of an aggressive approach on this post plant than they have in the past. They're not running main. They're waiting for Soap's flank. Oh my goodness, Soap on this lurk has been such an important piece to this puzzle. And like I said in the pre-show, she is so important in the late stages of these rounds. She's not entering, she's not, planting bomb, but in the late stages of the round when it really matters, she always has really good positioning.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, and it's kind of like a battle of the ciphers right now, like you said a little bit ago. If Soap can outplay their cipher, then they're looking good. It looks like the Terps are going to want to try to farm a little more ults now so they can combat these 4 ults on the side of UTD, but a lot of aggressive plays from the Cypher. Little damage is traded. Most of the damage goes on to Breach.
Oh, and it looks like Trace might be the one to take this fight with the Yoru, and with the flash coming through, she's definitely expecting the peak to come through sooner rather than later. She's still holding that angle, and Soap is on the lurk per usual, but it looks like the rest of the team may regroup right behind Trace and try and help in this fight against the Yoru, although Trace does get killed. However, I don't think that's gonna take the Terps out of consideration of this A side, especially with Soap getting her lurk pick. A side's looking pretty good right now, and knowing that they're gonna use that Teho utility to try and just push everyone off their angles here. And they do have to worry about CT, knowing that the ultimate's gonna come through for the Terps thanks to Carrots. And now the Terps will take a more passive approach here in their post plant like they've been doing previously. And they have to watch out for the Teho ultimate and the Breach ultimate invested, but it's not a problem for Savani because she has a rocket in her hand and she's hungry for a kill. It doesn't quite land the rocket, but immediately looks heaven for a crazy shot. Carrots also gets a shot out of CT and it leads on the Astra, but it will be Savani to finish out that round with her nades. And now suddenly the Terps are even. It's a 4v4 scoreline.
Yeah, we definitely see that smile on Savani's face. Like, it's in my hands now. That's the kind of smile we want. But definitely the momentum has switched ever since Dusty called that timeout, and now it's an even game. And we're just getting word that it's going to be another timeout on the side of UTD.
Their timing is so good for the timeouts. Just mind reader of the coaches. Yeah, so we're in a timeout for UTD right now, probably. And yeah, because suddenly UTD's got to be sweating a little bit. The Terps have won 4 consecutive rounds. They're suddenly back in this game. And kind of like you were saying earlier, it's a little reminiscent of what we saw in the grand finals, or at least it's smelling that way for now, because they lost the first couple of rounds on Fracture on that map last week, and then all of a sudden they just reverse swept after that, and it was nearly perfect from there on out. Yeah. So I wonder if we're going to see something similar.
I mean, I'm confident that we will. Just given the way they're playing right now, is they seem like they know exactly what they're doing, and if anything, it makes it a lot better that UTD is already going into a save round. This Bucky from the Cypher is going to be a little bit of a challenge to get through, but from what I'm understanding, it looks like their setup is just mainly for a really, really quick rotate. They have a lot of their players still kind of meandering around CT, so as soon as there is some kind of early information that's gathered, then those players are probably going to instantly rotate.
Yeah, and we are seeing just a very patient presence here right now for the Terps posted up outside of this B site, and I really do like how this round is looking in the early stages of things. However, they've got to watch out for Canteen, got to watch out for this Bucky that's posted up into up top towers there. So I think if they get a pick or two, I say go ahead on this B side. Savani will should be able to do that up into heaven, up against this Bucky, and it's so difficult against a close range weapon like that. Cypher ultimate comes down as a result, but now Davy Jones trying to avenge Savani and does so, and she works her way up into tower there while Trace is working on planting that bomb, and suddenly the Terps have cracked the code to this B site execute here, and they found themselves in a really good position to play post plant. Davy Jones hits an insane shot outside of tower there, and so does Soap. Suddenly everything just seems to be working out beautifully for the Terps. Are waiting for UTD to peek through these smokes, take these unfavorable fights, and that is going to be the recipe for success here for UMD.
I mean, last time somebody came out of a timeout, the person or the team that took the timeout won 5 or 4 rounds in a row. So at least they've broken that trend. But it's still kind of a little bit of a mental shock to UTD because you just took a timeout, right? But like, you lost at a timeout. The timeouts are there so you can come up with really weird plays to somehow transfer the momentum in this game, but the Terps were able to read exactly what they did really well, and I guess they're going back to the old bread and butter, going to A site. Soap is going to have to work something up here with this flank, or this lurk.
Oh, there's so much Cypher utility, but the Cypher doesn't land any shots on Savani, which is forced to back up on the other side of this smoke. And I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe saw a rotate later if they don't find any more success here on A, or they're trying to hit it from a different side here, peeking out outside a door and trying to take this fight outside of ropes. And no one's died yet. You know, not even damage really been traded at all. So Terps try to scale up on B, but they're gonna have problems as Carrots is just met with 2 players. She's able to find both of them flashed thanks to Davy Jones and her stellar use of utility. That is gonna make this B site look very appealing for UMD as they're able to just charge on with no problem at all. And they're gonna be able to get in position here, set up tower, set up site, set up main to prevent this post.
Great setup from Arcade, from Soap. I mean, just the fact that she's been able to scale the entire map and keep control. She has so much control to work with. And yeah, even then, wow, she's getting 2 kills from Arcade, and Savani does clean up the round.
And finally, it's a B site hit that really worked out for UMD. And it was a late hit, you know, they didn't go off rip. But nonetheless, what an excellent piece of utility usage from Davy Jones to make that fight really favorable for Carrots. Getting the 2 players flash there made all the difference.
Yeah, and it's going to send UTD back into another save round. Only 4 sheriffs and one shorty. Last time we did see a shotgun, it didn't go so well for the Terps, or for a few of them, but they were still able to work something out.
Some early shots here on A site. Savani gonna throw that Roomba and does a lot of damage to that Cypher. That is a good sign early on. But how does Yoru decide to play their ultimate? Looks like Yoru is flashed briefly and TP's back to safety. Meanwhile, the rest of the Terps still kind of struggling to take any space here on A. Are we going to see a late hit B again? If so, they've got to watch out for this Astra, who's really aggressively holding that angle, just waiting for Carrots to swing out. Although, granted, they do have a Sheriff, so the gun advantage is not in their favor, but still, you cannot count them out of this fight. Thankfully, Trace's utility able to sniff out that Astra. Carrots tries to get a kill and is just hungry for this kill, but man, you hate to see a Deagle Demon hit a shot like that. But Soap and Davy Jones, though, still haven't given up on this A side, and it's actually going to work out for them because that was a fake rotate by the looks of it. And it actually just was a great play call right now because they've caught UTD completely out of position.
And it's also planted in a very good spot for both CT, sorry, not CT, main site and drop site, but this Astra is sneaking up behind. Don't know if they're going to realize it.
Oh, Davy Jones got a notice. No, Davy Jones does get killed, and then now we're going to see that Astra become a bit of a problem as Trace is left to fight into main, and it's Trace and Soap here working to keep that bomb ticking despite the Yoru who has other plans and is just looking to get a pick on a Trace. Trace not gonna let it happen. What a shot. Clean crosshair movement. Trace's crosshair movement or crosshair placement is so good.
Phenomenal.
It's always so good. So yeah, the Terps still asserting their dominance here on Fracture. Again, I don't know how they're able to always lose the first couple of rounds and then come back, but hey.
And UTD brings out the Terps' favorite toy, the Odin.
Wow.
Surprised this is coming out this, or it's coming out this late. Typically, you see the Odin coming in maybe mid half, anywhere between like the sixth or seventh round, but not this late. But we do see a relatively aggressive push from UTD, but now the Terps are all over A site trying to get the Cypher out. Lots of chaos.
Oh, they haven't killed the Cypher yet, and there is going to be a trade before that Cypher is able to get picked. That's not what you want to see in a 4v1 fight on site there. You don't want to lose any players if you don't have to. But now, regardless, the work has been done to get themselves on this site, and Soap is already, I know it, I can smell it. She's cooking up a really good late push in from Satellite there. But the Odin is still in play, knowing that Davy Jones going to throw down that ultimate. And she does land it on a couple of those UTD players, but Karis is in a really good position to peek off of tap here. And she's just waiting for a call to come through before she peeks, and she does so. It spams through that box and kills the Asher, but it's not quite enough because they sat on bomb. But she was able to get a kill at least, and it was on the Odin. I don't know if the UTD was able to pick it up or not, but if there's any silver lining.
I think we are going into the second half.
Oh, yeah.
For this map, which is definitely going to be a little bit of a shock. Maybe not a shock to UMD, but it's kind of definitely a different change of pace. You're working with a completely new setup now, but I'm pretty sure this is their map pick. And like Carrots said in the pregame interviews, they spent a lot of time scrimming, and I guarantee you they spent a lot of time scrimming on this map. So just from the first round, we've already seen a lot of their tricks. So this is like the same case. It's an open book at this point.
So how will the Terps look here now that they've transitioned on the defense? There's a lot of aggression right now outside of A for the Terps. They may just catch a glimpse of that Cypher if Swanee decides to push past that trip. However, does look like the rest of the Terps here are holding their ground on B site. They're playing pretty actively on site, and it does look like Carrots and Soap here are going to be the ones left to defend this site, but they're having problems as it was a quick push here up into safety onto site, and in the face of all those Astra smokes, it makes
but the Cypher gets both.
Yeah, wow, that Cypher pulled a Soap. and was lurking there and did so very successfully. But the job is not done for the Terps, and Soap certainly knows that, does find a classic kill and is charging on site to get more, but she does get killed. Was Carrots able to equalize things? She does get 2 and is hunting for another now with a ghost in hand. Only 1 Terp remaining, but not for long, as Carrots does get killed. And now, after UTD won those 2 rounds, are things getting a little bit closer? The scoreline's tightening up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we might. This is already a really close game, so we might end up going to overtime here, depending on how the Terps play out their defensive side. But like last half, it took them a little bit to kind of get into the swing of things, and then look at that crazy win streak they had. They had to send them to 7-5 at the half.
I must wait a moment.
So.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a game of runs so far. Will it continue to be that way? It's a bad start so far with Savani and Davy Jones both getting picked off. Will Trace and Carrots be able to kind of equalize things? But against an Ares, Trace able to stare the Ares down the barrel and come out on the other side of it alive. And that's going to give her team a little bit of hope here. But meanwhile, they have got to sniff out this quick rotate that's happening on this A site. And Soap caught not looking at that angle that she's getting pushed from, but she's still alive. With a gun disadvantage, does shoot the Yoru clone and is still trying to fight this Bulldog. But yeah, Plant's gonna be able to come down, and now the Terps have got to work out this retake with gun disadvantage. They only have pistols, and this is a buy round for UTD. So Carrots able to pick up that Ares, and that might be the difference maker for the Terps here, but it's going to be even more difficult with Soap getting picked off. But how can Carrots really use that Ares to her fullest potential? They know that there's someone below ropes, and oh no, Trace getting picked at just such a bad time. Carrots only 11 HP, and it's too tall of a task there for the Terps. And now yet again, we're at an even scoreline for the 2nd time so far on Fracture.
Yeah, I mean, even though the Terps got 2 guns out of UTD's hands, they're still going to go up against Guardians, which is arguably one of the better weapons to combat these rifles, especially in your bonus round. So this is going to be definitely going to be a challenge for the Terps, and looks like they're going to put 2 or 3 players towards the A site. Maybe just off the fact that they did hit A last time, but this is gonna be a full skill, not rush, but just attempt through satellite and drop.
Yeah, they're being really quiet about it, though, for the side of UTD. So quiet that I'm not sure if, until that shot was fired, that Davy Jones really knew that she had to be watching out for a push in from satellite there. But UTD may be doubling back, and the Terps are still in relatively good position on B site. They have that Cypher set up thanks to Soap, because it does look like this is going to be a B rotate. Now the question is, are the Terps going to be able to kind of get a read on that soon and rotate over? With that shot being fired, it is going to sound the alarm bells for them. But can Soap and Carrots here just defend the site long enough for the rest of their team to help out?
Yeah, the problem is everybody's going through arcade, so it's going to be really hard to defend. It could only really naturally defend the B main there, especially with the Brim Molly. But maybe Carrots might peek out here.
Oh, and Soap getting killed by the Tejo utility. Only 30 seconds left, but it doesn't look like UTD is going to have any problem planting this bomb. And Carrots found a Vandal. Savani there peeks with Carrots, and both of them each get a pick. And suddenly this is looking very doable for the Terps, but it's going to be hard with Trace getting picked. And time is ticking down. Bomb is not planted. UTD's got to get on this bomb within the next 4 seconds if they want any chance of winning this round. Savani's trying to slow that down from happening. Carrots and Savani blazing on this site. Bomb does come down, but Savani just able to clean up the rest of the players on site to finally put a stop to the run that UTD was starting to have.
Yeah, this is exactly what they need. I mean, even though they lost the first 2 rounds, they won this round. So the question is, like, what are they going to do now? And now that both sides have guns, maybe anything like last round. Last round I'd say was probably the most comparable to having a full buy too, especially with the Guardians. So if it's anything going to be like last round, then I have high hopes for the Terps.
Yeah, they should be able to buy up. For the most part, yeah, they have Vandals, they have Phantoms, and only 2 players not really able to buy there because they're up against a pretty good buy and slight ultimate disadvantage, although just barely, and the Yoru ultimate going to get used instantly to try and just get a read on any information here on this A site. They're going to just kind of charge in. They're going to throw a flash at Savani, and Savani's just going to ignore it for the moment, but the Yoru's going to come out of that ultimate. Davy Jones is waiting, though, to get that pick. Great job from Davy Jones, but meanwhile, the Terps got kind of distracted there by that ultimate being invested on A site because it is going to be another B plant. And Carrots looking to do the same thing she did in the previous round and get those early picks here once that smoke dissipates. And it's Soap right now who's getting those picks. So is Davy Jones with the Bulldog in hand, and suddenly the Terps are able to charge their way on to this site and get on bomb and just kind of let Carrots with her Molly clean up that round. And this is exactly when we want to see the Terps start to get more confidence and win these rounds when we could be potentially heading into overtime.
Yeah, and I mean, it was kind of comical with the amount of utility they were throwing at the Astra in the final couple seconds of the round just to defuse. But yeah, like you said, it's exactly what we want to see. And now, if I believe, UTD is going to have to save or maybe even light buy. One of the two.
Yeah, because they bought up in the last round.
So we do see some sort of half buy here. That Marshall and Guardian can still be really dangerous. But I mean, if they can deal with the full buy of UTD, then they can deal pretty well with the buy that they have now.
Oh, Trace, good usage of Taeho utility to get a read on the kind of emptiness going on into spawn, and instead that's going to kind of tell the team that this is going to be, a push from the other side of the map, and that's kind of where UTD's position. They're not really favoring any site right now. They're just kind of all grouped together on this one side of the map, and with Savani and Trace clearing out the other side spawn, then, they're going to really know where their position is right now. And they're just quietly making their way on through a main. Davy Jones, I think, just saw maybe an elbow there and backs up just to kind of keep her positioning unknown. But yeah, with these Astra Stars, the Terps have got to have some kind of clue that this is going to end up being an A hit.
Yeah, we might end up seeing the Brim ult come out here from Carrots just to delay as much time or even try to get a kill or two.
Yeah, so the plant does come down, and Savani, as a result, is going to use that ultimate to find a pick. So is Carrots. So expensive round ultimate-wise for the Terps. But can they close it out? No, it's going to be in problems. They don't have good positioning here, but they've eaten enough time. Bomb is not planted yet, and now they just have to wait for this plant to come through and spray and prevent this bomb from getting planted. And the Terps, if they can hold on to their lives, have won this round. Tracy just has to stay alive, and knowing that the Cypher's going to try to push, but does not have enough time before the Terps are able to steal that round.
Yeah, I mean, they've built up enough of an economy to the point like they can afford to lose their guns, but even that win still helps solidify or just give them extra money to use. So it's the Terps are looking a lot better this half, and we are going into a timeout. So I'm assuming this is going to be the timeout on the side, or a timeout called on the side of UTD. We can hear some of the players or the coach, having some moments. I don't know exactly what's going on outside of the casting booth.
Yeah, I think Coach Dusty's just trying to really energize this team because they're only a couple rounds away from winning the whole series. This is a best of 3, so they could potentially take this game home if they win Fracture. So there's no room to fall asleep right now. There's no room to, get complacent. I don't think Terps are getting complacent, but just, you know, you can't fall asleep on those angles. You can't, you know, stop thinking about positioning. You gotta always, these next like 3 rounds or whatever the Terps have to, 3 rounds to potentially close out the series, they have got to be locked in, especially since that was an expensive round ultimate wise. They're not going to have those to rely off of anymore.
Yeah, they do have 2 more ultimates coming up pretty soon with Trace and Davy Jones, both like I would say high value ultimates, and you know, if they can snowball long enough, they can make those ultimates last the entire or the rest of the game. But we already see a lot of B presence from UTD here, and I think that's starting to sound alarm bells for UMD, because look at Savani, look at where she is. She's already lurking up through A, but this Yoru might get a really, really unexpected lurk.
Yeah, but the Terps right now worrying about this Asher wall and how they're gonna presumably just come out on the other side of it, but are they gonna be aware of that Cypher? It looks like it's not gonna be an issue, but that could have been really scary for a moment. Asher wall dissipates, and the Terps are ready to hit this retake, but Savani gets killed by that Cypher as she's trying to make her way onto site here. And it looks like UTD is gonna let the Terps have site, but they're gonna try and prevent a defuse from coming through by just spamming through from main and arcade, and suddenly that's gonna do it for the Terps. Only leave Savani not for long though, and man, the UTD's staying in this game for sure. You know, they really played that one differently by playing off-site.
Yeah, so it's just gonna come down to who has an ult for the round, and I think UTD still has 2 more ults to work with, as well as UMD does too. But I feel like even though the ult economy is still pretty balanced, at some point the Terps are going to start getting their ultimates, and we already see very aggressive plays from UTD, or sorry, the Terps, and Savani's able to take out one with the Sheriff. They are on a save, or a half buy this round. That's already a really good indication that they are set up for a decent fight now that they've gotten one player out, but UTD is going to pull a really big switcheroo on them and go under sight.
Oh, a big fight is about to happen here right outside of this B site. No, the Terps gonna fall back before they have to you know, waste any bullets there in an early engagement when they don't need to, and they could just let UTD come into them, come onto their site. Your ultimate invested and does pay off thanks to that judge. It's gonna take down Davy Jones, but Savani is just waiting for a peek to come her way, waiting for the Cypher cage to dissipate before swinging with a Sheriff in hand. And Soap is there working alongside Savani. Trace making her utility work for the Terps here. Soap does get killed, and it's going to leave things down to a 3v3. Bomb has to be planted. Carrots, though, has other plans working in, presumably into tower there to try and catch that Teho. Meanwhile, Savani's getting picked off. Trace is getting picked off. All that's left is Carrots left in a 1v1, and she cannot quite finish the job because only with a Sheriff it's hard against a Vandal. And now it's getting even closer of a game.
Yeah, I mean, but the bright side is the Terps do have a buy round for this round, so at least they can get some guns working. We've seen in the past that, you know, they are really well, or they do really well in an even fight, but still kudos to them. They were able to get four kills that round, so that's just more ultimates that they can work with. They did use the Teho ultimate too, and they might have used the Breach ultimate. I cannot remember, but both of those ultimates are extremely crucial to have. But I believe Carrots should have her Breach ultimate coming up pretty soon. So yeah, they do still have the Breach ultimate. It looks like a lot of damage is being done on the side of UTD, and Davy Jones is going to push out really aggressively here, possibly taking up a lot of space, but both Carrots and Davy Jones are trying to hold down the site, but the Cypher comes up from underneath.
Man, that is not a good way to start off this very important round. The round you can prevent UTD from evening up the scoreline, but what a shot from Soap through that smoke. She's going to just continue to spray and just do any damage she can, but she's got to watch out for that Cypher who's on the other side of that smoke. Looked like they were going to push through, but they're going to opt to go below site there and meet up with the rest of their team. And there is an Odin in play from that Astra, so Savani definitely is aware of that and has to work around knowing where that Odin is placed, but she has bigger fish to fry as that Cypher has made their way into main. And now the Terps have got to work on defusing this bomb, and they've got to play this aggressively. They can't just wait to get spammed through the other side of the smoke. Soap does take care of the player up into towers, but the rest of the three are positioned into main. They have so much utility on the spike. Soap is forced to stick it, and it looks like it's just not gonna have enough time though, but barely. Again, these rounds have just been such a close margin, like with only one player being the difference, multiple seconds being the difference. It's a really tight game.
Yeah, and I would not or I would expect Dusty to maybe call his second time out of the game somewhere in the next round or two. Probably not this round because they don't have guns to work with, but next round they probably will have to have something if they end up losing this round.
Locating targets.
Yeah, very crucial round coming in into this next minute and a half. How are the Terps going to be able to flip the script? They've lost a couple of rounds in a row. They've got to switch up the momentum right now to prevent this thing from going into overtime or potentially sending us to map number 3. Savani is off to a great start here for the Terps, and she is out for even more blood, pushing aggressively. Although that Cypher, it'll take down both Savani and Davy Jones. A round that looked really strong for the Terps suddenly all crumbled. Now they've lost fight control completely. If there's anything the Terps have going for them, though, it is that they know where UTD is positioned right now. And it's going to be on this A site. And good job from Soap getting an insane sheriff shot, but the job is not done. More people are going to have to get these sheriff shots, and Carrots 145 dinks and completes the kill. But still, Terps have a lot more work to do. Bomb is ticking.
This is all up to Soap.
Soap is left, and she peeks the angle and does not quite come out of it alive. And this Cypher just doing such a good job for UTD. How are Carrots and Trace going to be able to respond? And they've got to be able to do so quickly. Bomb is starting to tick beyond repair here. Trace gonna peek through door, and it's gonna be Carrots who's able to get that pick as a result of that distraction. And man, this Cypher hunting for an ace. Is Trace gonna be the one to stop? Oh no! It's gonna be an ace from UTD, and you just don't want to see the momentum start to shift here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Cypher ended up dying to the spikes, so that's already 5 guns. You know, these rounds are expensive. They're expensive investments for UTD, so their economy can't be that high. But now we're into the late rounds of this game, or this map. You know, we've got all guns on both sides, I believe, and we do have a timeout, like I called, coming in from Dusty. So this will definitely be kind of a nice little break. I'm sure the players are all stressed because they can end the series here and now. And Dusty giving his words of wisdom to these players just to close out this match.
Yeah, the Terps are so close, but so far. They have a really tough ride ahead because they've got to come back swinging. They can't have a slow start after this timeout. They've got to win this next round, and they've got to use that momentum and that economy boost to get them on a run to close out map number 2. Because now they're actually, for the first time in a long time, down a round. They're losing right now. And now they're coming into a full buy. They're coming in with 4 ultimates versus 1. So if there's any round for them to really flip the script, it's right here and now. And so you're going to have to rely on players like Soap, like Carrots. Those two are having an amazing game right now. Soap at 21 kills for a Sentinel pick. It's crazy, but she's got to, you know, the job is not done quite yet.
Yeah, I mean, go back to the last time out Dusty took. UTD had 4 wins in a row, and then they took a timeout, and then the Terps won the next 7. So if that doesn't say anything, then I don't know what will. The Terps are already stacked pretty well onto the B site, hoping for some sort of contest here. I think UTD is maybe trying to back off and hit on A. Yeah, it does look like they're going to do that, but they are going to be met with Savani and I can't tell who else that is.
Yeah, Savani is waiting on A site with Davy Jones there, who's peeking out from ropes, and I think maybe just caught a glimpse of that Yoru, and that is an indication of what is to come for UTD. It is looking like it was going to be an A hit, and now they have to kind of second guess themselves because that Tejo utility, at least it buys the Terps a little bit more time, and that's all they need, just to waste time here. Savani may take a fight with this Cypher, and it's not going to risk anything, going to pull out that rocket and direct it onto site. Does not quite get a kill with the rocket, and does get killed. And so does Davy Jones, but there's only 6 seconds left. The Terps can just delay the plant, which Carrots is trying to do, but no, the plant does get in order there, and now it's all up to Soap, who's had a phenomenal game thus far, but she's got to come away with a huge clutch to give the Terps just a little bit more edge here before they can avoid any sense of overtime. She's spraying through the smoke, trying to pick that Yoru off. HP is not looking too good for the side of UTD, but they're playing this really wise. They're playing offsite. They're waiting for Soap to peek into them. She tries to peek that Yoru, but she knows that there's someone just waiting to peek her outside of sand. And she does get a pick on that Yoru, but the spike is ticking down, and it's going to put UTD at map point.
You hate to see it. It's close round after close round, and like it was just a matter of seconds, that last round that the Terps had to win. Like now it's match point.
Yeah.
It's definitely stressful for the Terps. They don't have much to really work with. They're trying to muster up whatever buy they can. They do have this breach ult too that might, if they can use this breach ult in a really, really good way, this will net them a round win, but they still have a long fight ahead of them.
Yeah, they've got a long way to go here. They've got to go into overtime. There's no other option left. So how will they get there is the question. And they're really spread out across this whole map, more so favoring the A site, but that is not where UTD is placing their bets right now. They're dumping a lot of utility, trying to make way onto B, and they're actually going to invest a breach ultimate here. And that's going to draw in the rotates, and so has spike control. Is this going to be the key to winning this round? She's getting pushed from all angles, but it doesn't matter. She's watching rope. Finally, she does get killed, but she's done a lot of damage to UTD's side, and that may be the difference maker as we head into the later stages of this round. Oh, Davy Jones going to use that breach ultimate to try and pave the way. Oh, while she does get killed in the process, and no picks netted off that ultimate, but Savani trying to meet up with the rest of her team, and she does get killed. So does Carrots. It's all up to Trace to close, help the Terps stay alive. She swings and finds the first pick, but she's got 2 more in her way still. She's going to use that Tejo utility, try to buy her a little bit more space, and catches one of the players going up into tower. She's got a Guardian in hand. She strategically has to peek these angles and find a way to defuse this bomb. She should be able to get a half here. She avoids the Tejo ultimate. Oh my gosh, is she going to stick it? No, she's able to get off of it and tries to get that pick on the Cypher and narrowly loses that round. Oh my goodness. We are heading into map number 3 here, but by such a close margin.
Yeah, and we'll get information to you guys as soon as possible on what map 3 is. Right now, I don't think either of us know, but I mean, I'm already really tense. This is a good game. It is 1-1 now, and we're going into series points. So make sure to stay tuned. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to get back into round 3 of tonight's series.
Terp Adventures. Take flight at Stamp. Host to countless Maryland events, programs, performances, and more. Feed your body, feed your mind, feed your soul. Let your talents soar. Dance, sing, perform. Find your thing. Join more than 800 student organizations and clubs. Find community here. Leadership lives here. Art thrives here. With space to grow. We're all just kids at heart. Let your imagination fly. Compete. Play. With wings on our feet. Here your spirit can fly. Here your soul lifts up. Here you remember those who came before. This is STAM. This is the Center for Campus Life, where Terp adventures take flight. You belong here. Come fly with us.
And I think by the end of the season, like now, we play together, everyone kind of jokes around a little bit more and kind of shines their natural ray. We're excited just to see them play better as well.
With the middle school program, the best part has been seeing the moments of teamwork where the middle schoolers really seem to get the game, and so that's when you can see they're starting to get a little bit hooked on how esports can be so fun.
Off game, or will Red turn things around?
Your ad tech stack is simple, streamlined, and easy to manage, right? Yeah, right. If you're in ad tech, then you know you have a problem. Ad tech is messy, and your tech stack includes way too many tools to effectively manage. At Playwire, we're here to uncomplicate your ad tech stack. We've consolidated the entire publisher ad tech stack into a single platform and added in proprietary technology and advanced tools to generate you even higher CPMs. Get access to an ad tech stack that is simpler and smarter.
also known as Sind, and I'm an initiator player for the Valorant Premier Team.
I'm Kazu, and I go by NJV, and I'm the coach for the team.
I'm Richard, and I go by Pickle Richard, and I'm the duelist player.
Pretty fun. I definitely liked all the guys I was playing with. It's fun to get in the server with them. Sometimes it can be a little bit of a challenge balancing it with other things, but
yeah,
it's definitely something that I enjoy doing a lot.
Yeah, making like all the friends that we made through this team, so it really makes me happy. So it's like really awesome that we did this.
Yeah, I think I had really fun times on this team. I played well every single game.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. I think my favorite moment was map 5. I think that was a really fun match.
The grand finals.
Yeah,
the
that was
grand
fun.
final. Yeah.
Remember what map it was?
I don't remember that.
Oh, it was Sunset. Yeah,
Sunset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you played Raze.
Yeah, I played Raze.
Yeah, no, that map was really intense. Like, it was super, super hard. The pressure was definitely on. Like, it was super late at night. It was like midnight or something.
It was very late. It was
1 a.m. or
like my favorite one was probably the first match of the season.
Oh yeah.
First time in the studio together.
Oh, in the studio.
Oh,
yeah, that was fun. It was like
fun.
Fun seeing all the Academy boys in the studio. So that was sick. Yeah.
My personal goal is I think I'm gonna try to hit Radiant this season.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely to win Big Ten right now, and then place top 8 in CVAL. That's our goal.
Top 8 CVAL.
Yeah.
Big Ten is definitely the thing I'm most interested in seeing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not flying out, but hopefully, or the boys do well over it. Where is it? OSU? Ohio State?
Yeah, Ohio. I promise at least second place.
At least second place? I think we can win it.
I think we can win it too.
I think we can.
We gotta be humble.
Everyone, we just we can't get complacent.
Can't get complacent. Never that.
That's a good one.
Go ahead.
Honestly, like unironically, I think Kazu is a very fun person to have in the program as like an emotional leader. Even though he doesn't always, sometimes things can get a little disorganized with Kazu at the helm.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, but for as much flack as we give him for being terrible at the game, he's actually.
Yeah, if you watch our games
he's actually a very
while I play, you'll be surprised. Like, I hear House is the guy my coach a lot.
Yeah,
like, weird about times.
But I think Kazu's a great addition for him. I love him.
Yeah, I love
he's
him.
great.
You love Valorant.
He's very wholesome.
He is very wholesome.
Yeah, he's radiant. Remember that.
I'm radiant. Remember that.
Yeah, and his timeouts have improved a lot too. As someone who's seen him coach over the last like 2.5 years.
Yeah,
your old timeouts were.
Yeah, that was when I was a little baby boy coach.
Yeah, but now he's improved a lot.
Yeah.
I really like having you as coach.
Thank you, Gregory. Wow, this is great. You should do this more often.
That's the most praise you've ever heard.
He got an ego boost for free today.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
welcome back, guys, and we're in the final round tonight. It's been a nail biter game, and both me, Lily, and I are really excited to see this last match play out. Obviously, we want the Terps to win, but it's gonna be one hell of a game.
Yeah, and this one's for all the marbles. They've got to win map number 3 to, keep chugging along here in the NECC Nationals tournament. Let's not forget where we are. They've had to fight all season to get, placement into this tournament, let alone winning their division. They've, kept a good record. They've maintained, just a good map differential, and they have been able to qualify for NECC Nationals, and they've got to really keep fighting in this tournament to progress any further, and it's all up to map number 3, and I'm not sure what map they're heading on to.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what map they're going on to, but from what I've heard in the past, we know it's not going to be Lotus. We did just get word that it is going to be Ascent, and throwback to last week, that was the one map that they really had to fight for their win. I mean, a 7-round overtime. I think that's the most I've seen in any kind of pro play, and any kind of play that we've seen here in the studio. So it was definitely a long game. And if you guys remember from the pre-show, Carrots was also giving us a little information about what was going on during those 7 rounds. It's like back and forth, but you lose the defensive side or attack side, or you lose the comfortable side, and then all right, what happens? But now you win the side that you're not comfortable with, so it's kind of another back and forth. But they were able to keep their composure, keep the mentality, and take map 1 from last week. So, I mean, given that game, I'm pretty sure they're well prepped for this game. I mean, they spent a lot of time playing on it. They have been stressed. They have been under pressure on Ascent. So it's definitely going to be a map to be excited for.
Yeah, I mean, if it's anything like the Ascent match we saw in the grand finals, we are in for a show, a 90-minute show to be exact. No, just kidding. Hopefully not again. Hopefully not 7 rounds of overtime again. Hopefully it'll be a nice, clean and easy Terps victory. But they are going to have to really put up a show here, and it makes a big difference what side they're going to be on. It really depends if they're going to be on the attack side or the defense side. That really can change the outcome of the whole map. Ascent really tends to be a defense favored map, so a lot of teams will kind of there's 2 different ways of approaching. You can either start on the defense and say, hey, we're gonna really get ourselves a lead before we try to figure out this attack, or we start on the attack and we just try to get as many as we can, and if we're down, we're not going to panic. But it looks like the Terps are going to opt for the former here, and they're going to try and get as many rounds as they can before they transition to what is thought to be the more difficult side.
And just in terms of agent comp, Terps are looking pretty consistent, but again with this Yoru, I'm starting to assume that they're a Yoru one trick. Is there any other agent they can play?
Yeah, I mean,
going on?
It's been really consistently picked as Yoru, and they have also a Clove, which is kind of a interesting pick here. I do like Clove. I think that they're a good agent, but we don't see them being picked too much. And Carrots just jump peeked into 2 people, and she's there. Left in a 2v1 fight, is able to take care of the first, and is hunting for yet another pick, but ran out of bullets, and is able to run away into safety. Let Savani take care of the rest. Oh my goodness.
That was stressful. I can almost imagine the amount of emotions that Carrot was feeling after she got that first kill, and then the second was like, oh no, what do we do?
Yeah, and oh no, what do we do? Scott
and Trace!
See what UTD's thinking as Trace just completely destroyed the 3 that were entering there from a main, and the Terps are starting this one off with a bang.
Yeah, we already see some laughs from Carrots there, so it's definitely going to be a pretty good game. We're definitely in for a really probably close game, but so far it looks like things are going well. I really liked that kind of safety that Savani had for Carrots is she wrapped around through B main and was able to take out that Sova. And going into this round, it looks like it's going to be very, very aggressive up mid, but now they just don't really have anywhere to go other than B site, but they're met with tons of KJ utility, and the Sova trying to sneak up through tree. Not going to really get anything, but a little bit of damage done. Carrots able to take out the Sova, and this is just kind of like a really weird area for the Yoru.
Oh, and there's 2 players boathouse, and they are able to double swing off of Carrot's smoke, actually, and they're able to get that pick on the Yoru. So it does look like UTD is still posted up on this B site. Davy Jones just might catch a fight once the smoke dissipates, but she's got to be careful of mid, and she knows that because that Cypher is just slowly creeping up, and it looks like they're going to opt to go market. And meanwhile, Davy Jones has found herself in a really good position to take this fight, and she does win the fight outside of CT to buy her a little bit more room. And still, UTD has not planted this bomb. There's 30 seconds left, and they don't look like they want to budge at all from this B site. They're going to send player in through stairs, player in through lane. The lane player gets picked off. It's only up to the Cypher for UTD, and Trace finds another 3K round for herself. 2 in a row for Trace.
Yeah, this might be her map. You know, given that most of the walls on Ascent, with the exception of the one in A main, since I think that got patched. Yeah, with a new metal wall, but most of the walls are paper thin, and it's really easy to abuse a lot of Sova utility. And so far, she's 6-0, so this might be her game, and that's exactly what the Terps need. Is they need somebody to step up. I mean, everybody is doing a phenomenal part, but sometimes you just need that one person to go crazy.
Yeah, and so far it's been Trace. She's having a really strong first 2 rounds to put the Terps ahead so far, but are they going to be able to keep it that way? We're going to have to see how they play out the rest of their defense half. And off the bat, it's a really quick rotate off of this A site for UTD. They had, they showed themselves I think Savani got a glimpse of a player or 2, and they scaled back and opted for some more mid control, actually. There is an alarm bot, thanks to Soap, that's posted up into mid, and Trace is using her Sova utility to its fullest advantage there. But yeah, it looks like UTD is just on the brink of pulling off a full site execute here, and it does look like it's going to favor this A site.
But Savani's in a really good position to get this Yoru off guard.
Yeah, good job from Savani, just sitting wide really patiently, and is able to hold on to her life, and she may peek into tree, or it's going to be potentially Carrots there, and it will be Carrots once that smoke goes away, and she backs up to safety and is prepared to take another fight and cannot quite TP in time, but she's able to get that pick there. It's not going to stop UTD from fighting their way onto the site, but Davy Jones has held onto her life onto the site and finds the pick on the Cypher, throws the molly to do a little bit more damage, although she does lose her life in the process. So UTD should be able to plant bomb here, yeah, but Soap still causing problems for UTD as she has worked her way up into heaven. And now she is just really looking for this one remaining UTD defender. They're going to be posted up into hell. So are Savani and Soap going to be able to play hell strategically here? It's really easy to lose these fights here, and that KO does pick off Savani. Will Soap be able to win this 1v1? No, it's going to be the KO to clutch up for UTD. And like I was saying, in hell, you never know what's going to happen. You know, that's a really sneaky position, and if you don't play that strategically together, it's easy to lose those 1v1s.
Yeah, and it's really easy to isolate in hell too. Just because of the nature of where you're facing, you can isolate everything towards generator, or at least your perspective towards generator, and be fine. Moving a little more in the present sense, we do see Savani buy this up really early, and that's exactly what we want to see from her too, because she's so good with the op.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what she's able to do with this operator if this Yoru gives her a peek, and she does swing and hit with the operator. And now that's really going to prevent UTD from wanting any part of that A site. And they're going to, once again, try and see what they're able to get in mid, but Carrots is waiting in case this is going to be another tree push with a high-low setup from Davy Jones. Not sure if they're going to get any players coming their way, as it looks like UTD has really started to walk up into Garage and decide to face this KJ utility that they know is set up into lane. Oh, the alarm bot does sound on the mid push there from that Sova. So that's definitely going to kind of reaffirm any suspicions that the Terps had of this being a B hit. Oh, and so able to avoid that KO knife is huge, actually, to keep her utility alive here onto lane. But still, UTD not being super quick in this site execute. They have 30 seconds left, and now those mollies are popped. It's going to slow down any lane push they have. Carrots gets that pick outside of CT, but there's two players here into Boathouse, and Savani strikes again with the operator, but it's a trace gets picked off into Boathouse, and so does Soap, and that puts things at a 3v2, and then now they're going to be able to plant this bomb. Davy Jones trying to peek out of lane, peeks into Boathouse, catches a quick glimpse of that KO back there, and the KO has ulted. That's going to make things really difficult for the Terps. Carrots has to swing and check that close angle, and each of the Terps finding each of their respective picks, and Savani holds onto that operator for another round.
Yeah, beautiful 3K by Savani, really using the operator to its fullest extent, and that's going to be deadly going into the rest of this half. I don't know how UTD is going to be able to combat that, because she's just so sneaky with the op at getting those really early engagements. I wouldn't be surprised if we see an aggressive mid push from her in the near future, and it might even be this round because she is posted up mid.
I would really like to see that, because it seems like UTD's plan is when a site doesn't work, they automatically flood towards mid. So I think she's waiting to let that happen. So Trace is waiting to throw that dart into B main, and that's going to potentially scan a lot of people, but they're able to shoot that dart because they're expecting it. Savani still posted up mid, like you said, just kind of waiting for a potential rotate out to mid if these alarm bots that Soap has set up don't work out, and we might see that happen, because look at this Yoru's positioning. They're kind of looking like they want to go mid. This might be exactly what Savani wanted. She's just waiting for her peak to come her way, but they're rotating through spawn. Most of the UTD players. Is it going to be the Yoru, though, yet again, who's going to be caught on the wrong side of Savani's operator? She's waiting, and she hits another op shot into mid, just as she calculated. UTD is going to smoke her off as a result, and now UTD is spread out all across this map. And Carrots has really sneaky positioning in Wine. Yet again, it was Savani in the last couple
Savani might get
rounds.
this op kill. She does.
Oh my goodness. Everything is just working out beautifully for the Terps right now. They have UTD exactly where they want them. And UTD doesn't have Spike. They're so far away from the Spike. They've neglected it up into top mid. Instead, they're opting to get a pick or two. But it has been working out for them in any way. Each of them are kind of losing their 1v1s here. And Savani is just keeps cooking with that operator, and it's gonna look even more dire. But Savani takes a close range fight, and she does get killed. Davy Jones is there to get the trade, and now the Terps, just if they're able to stay alive, they will win this round, because the bomb is just in Narnia right now.
And they might try it. The Terps might try to look for that operator. I don't think any of them will pick it up, but Savani does have enough credits to buy another one. And I just want to highlight Savani real quick, because she posted up mid for a majority of that round, right? But, she stayed in mid for a while. She has great patience, but as soon as you hit that first op shot, she immediately rotates. They're not expecting her on a main, because why would you rotate immediately afterwards? That's just that's how a good op player should play. Is as soon as you get one kill. Oh no, Carrot is taken down by the Yoru. Pretty good play by the Yoru too. Very aggressive.
Yeah,
do
so
have the Sova ult coming out here.
Yeah, but they completely lost this A site. Savani tries to answer with the knives, although she does get killed up to Davy Jones here, trying to make things work in heaven. She also gets picked Soda, so none of the Terps are really getting any picks here, except Trace, who finds 2, and she's marching her way in from heaven. She's got to deal with the Gen player. The flash comes through, and it's gonna be Trace who is killed, but man, she put up a good fight there. The Terps are still ahead here on the defense.
Yeah, Savani purchases an op for the 3rd time in a row. Even after losing 1 round, she's still gonna get it.
Yeah, so at least she's able to repurchase that operator because she's been really good with it. It's just a matter of, are those peaks gonna come her way? Yeah, hopefully she just guesses correctly, and she does get a peek to come her way, although they're going to avoid Savani's operator by that Yoru ultimate. As Davy Jones does get killed. That's a lot of really important initiator utility that the Terps are not going to have at their disposal anymore, as a full-scale A hit is in order here. And oh no, they've got to watch out for this judge that's just up into heaven waiting for a retake to come their way.
Yeah, this might be a save from UTD. Maybe not, because Trace got that kill. So if
revealing area.
If they can net like 1 kill, then I'd say fully commit.
Oh, and Savani actually gave that operator to Trace. Although Savani does get killed, so maybe that was a good play. Although I hope Trace doesn't get killed and does lose that operator in the process. It's kind of just like a bit of an awkward round. It's just really stark contrast from what we saw in the previous round, where things were very calculated. Everything was working out for them. I think it's really just makes all the difference whether Savani gets that first op shot or not.
And Dusty does come in with a timeout. Even the fact that they don't have a buy round this round, I think it's still smart for for a timeout. They can still do something. They can still half buy, maybe do something weird, cause a lot of chaos. And these kinds of rounds, we do see them play really aggressive, especially through mid. So they might do that. We don't know. But that's definitely going to be something that Dusty cooks up, and we always trust Dusty to cook something really good up for dinner.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if there's any coach who's been with this team for a long time, it's him, and he knows this team really well. And like you said, I think the key is always on Ascent, is mid control. That's the key, both on either side of the map, on defense, on attack. You do not want to give up mid control, and if you do, you better have a good retake plan, because it's really easy to hit a site execute when you have players flooding in from market, flooding in from tree. So those are spots to watch out for, and the Terps have been trying to do so with the operator, but now they don't have good weapons.
Yeah, we do see that same mid aggressiveness, and Savani takes the first engagement.
Oh, and they're just trying to fight this Cypher. Finally, Carrots will be the one to hit that deadly shot. She's able to pick up a Phantom in the process. That's going to be huge for the Terps now that they have a Hero Vandal or Hero Phantom on their sides. Meanwhile, it's a full-scale B hit. Davy Jones is trying to spray through the smoke, but her position gets sold out, and she has to hide as a result, only down to 32 HP. Meanwhile, Soap kind of forced to take a long-range fight here with a medium-range weapon. Might not work out for her. She's going to have to really close a lot of distance before she's able to really put this Sheriff to use, and she just has done so with the help of Davy Jones and her flashes. Meanwhile, UTD is pushed completely off this site for the most part. They have a couple players boathouse, but it's just a bloodbath all of a sudden before they even find their way onto site. And now we're at, yet again, an even scoreline.
Yeah, the Terps can buy up here. So this is going to be a different round than last, but again, it's just these really close rounds, and we're probably in for a long game on Ascent. Hopefully not as long as last week.
Yeah. Please, please. No, I don't. That was crazy. That was crazy. That'll never happen again, right? Right.
We might have just caster cased it.
Right. Right. Anyway, here we are into a more comfortable buy for the Terps, knowing that Smiley's going to push out and finds all 4 of them flashed, but does not land a shot, and is just going to, you know, be smart and not ego peek that and just smoke it off and keep your life. I really like that play from Savani. If you don't hit that shot, just to play your life there. And now UTD trying to just use any utility they have to give them as much information as they can on this B side. I don't think they liked what they saw there, but A is not going to look any better for them either. They do have that Cypher just waiting, but they've got a whole bunch of cage utility to work through here, and Davy Jones has really good positioning up into heaven. So I suspect the Terps should be able to hold down this A side if they play their cards right here.
We might see a counter KO ult as well.
Yeah, so ultimate invested for UTD. It's going to lead them to fully scale onto site. Davy Jones, Savani holding down the fort here on A site. And Davy Jones, they does get killed. This KO ultimate is still ticking. The KO could get res, which could change the outcome of this game, knowing that they're going to try and kill this Cypher first. And it's going to be Soap who does so. And finally, the Terps answer after losing a couple rounds there.
Very, very well done. Yeah, there's really nothing more you can say about that. I mean, everybody just like did their part that round.
Yeah,
that's it.
Everyone did their part in holding site. You know, they didn't really have to retake there. They just really stood their ground and not like over rotating on B once a little utility came their way.
Davy Jones did a very good job at getting 2 picks on site. Now they have to work their way back up because they're UTD has a pretty big economy, so it's going to be a few rounds of just straight out brawls with full buys.
Yeah, again, it's looking like it's going to be an A hit, and Soap is set up there, but they're kind of neglecting mid right now, the Terps are, and oh no, Savani just might get caught with really bad timing, and that's gonna prompt a quick Cypher ultimate, and still the Terps trying to fight this Cypher. It doesn't work out. Davy Jones getting picked as well. Karis trying to equalize things, find a pick or 2 into mid, but just runs away for dear life, as you saw 3 or 4 of them into mid. Soap able to get a pick though, try and level things out a little bit. The Cypher cage is going to dissipate any second. A Trace is going to be caught with staring in the face of 2 players. Only able to get 1 though. Soap able to get the next to put things at a 2v2 retake scenario.
It is equalized now, and both Soap and Carrots have their ults. So this could be one expensive round. They might just invest both of their ults, or at least the KJ ult in here.
Time is ticking though. They've got to get on this site, and they've got to start getting those picks because they have got to get on this bomb quickly. KG ultimate invested, but is it going to be too little too late is the question. And now the UTD players have to respond. Carrots knowing that it's going to wait for this push to come out on the other side of the smoke, and Carrots gets a pick. And
but I don't know if they have enough time.
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
It's going to be close.
Yeah.
No.
I had a feeling, but man, that was so close. And you hate to see a KJ ultimate, which is such an important ultimate on this map, to not net a round win.
Yeah, they still have 3 ults to work with the Sova, KO, and Omen ult. The KO and Sova ult, both very strong ults, but now they're going to have to somewhat full buy with Davy Jones only on a Stinger. And the Clove bringing out the Terps' favorite weapon, the Odin.
Yeah, this Odin positioned right outside of A. Davy Jones gonna flash and peek, and she does get the Odin down, but she does pay with her own life, and Savani also getting killed there. So that's gonna leave a pretty open A site for UTD to just walk on, and Carrots is left to fight mid.
Beautiful shot.
Oh my goodness, what a shot from Carrots. She's gonna try to break door and Soap's gonna have to meet up with her sooner rather than later, as Carrots has a suspicion of this Yoru, gets an eye on the Yoru, but cannot quite get that pick, and it's gonna be up to Soap to try and get that trade, as she's presumably gonna walk up heaven, but the Yoru TP'd, so she's not gonna find that Yoru where she's gonna be looking for them, and is gonna have to put her efforts onto this site and onto this bomb that's starting to tick down. Trace is working in from tree, is gonna push out of the smoke, and Soap does get a pick, but Trace gets killed. Soap still trying to fight hell here, swings into the KO, but has to dance around the Soap ultimate. Classic right clicks for the kill, but will not be able to defuse this bomb in time.
Still two very close tries from the Terps. Again, this is just a really close game.
Yeah, it's really, really neck and neck, and it's a little bit scary because you would expect the defense to be, where the Terps would really get a lead going on. However, it was on the defense on this map where that side, the defensive side, was the reason we went into 7 overtimes. Neither team could crack the code on the defense, so maybe that's what we're seeing. Maybe the Terps are just having a hard time on the defense, and they're gonna switch halves, and it's gonna be a different story. Oh, what a shot from Savani to open up this next round. Oh my goodness. But this Odin is still in play for UTD. Yes, Savani still looking tiles, hunting for another pick, and cannot quite land it with the Sheriff. But Davy Jones has taken a good amount of mid space, but does not have a really good weapon to hold it. So she's gonna back up a little bit, side by side with Trace, and just kind of be patient here.
Yeah, UTD isn't sitting great with health. The KO is one shot, so that would at least help the Terps, if the KO catches a random stray bullet that one of them decides to shoot. But they also have 4 ults they need, or 3 ults the Terps need to invest in this round.
Yeah, I mean, the Terps have so many ultimates to dispose into this round because it's about to be half switch. So they can really just use all of them to overwhelm a site if they so choose. And but oh no, that KO ultimate, it's gonna have other plans. All their ultimates being disabled right now as a rush is coming in from lane. Trace positioned in boathouse yet again, and this time has a smoke in her way, does get the pick on the KO and the Sova there, but the Odin is just causing so many issues for the Terps, and the Odin still kicking, and it will be the gun to deliver the deadly blow to basically solidify that they're not gonna come out of this half on top.
They do have the attack half to look forward to. Ascent's always kind of a gamble. Sometimes teams could make it a defensive sided map, which happens most of the time, but sometimes teams can make it an attack sided map. And just based off of last game, or last week, I think the Terps' favorite side was attack.
I mean, yeah, in overtime, certainly.
Yeah.
So maybe they're able to channel some of that overtime energy here on attack, because they have a small differential to overcome. Yeah, it's small, but still it's there. And scoreboard's looking pretty even across the board here. So they're in this game. It's just a matter of really finishing those rounds. Some early round aggression from the Yoru. It is payoff for UTD, and the Yoru is still out for blood. Looks like they're going to use their flash to try and get Carrots, and that is exactly what happens. Not the way you want to start off your attack half, but will Savani be able to flip the script? No, Savani gets killed. Suddenly it just does not look great for the Terps right now. And Trace and Soap trying to sneak up into tree, but this ghost is positioned just waiting for a head to come their way. Trace and Soap have managed to find their way out of tree, and they're trying to overwhelm this KO, and the right click is able to do so, and Trace should be able to pick up that ghost there, and Soap trying to get a pick, but she does get killed. It's just Trace in a 1v4. It's doable because it's pistol round, so keep in mind the playing field is kind of even in terms of guns, but it's not even in terms of HP. Trace only less than half HP, and she's gonna realize that as the classic will be coming her way, and that is, less than ideal. to start off your attack half.
Yeah, the Terps. I feel like the Terps might end up buying something.
Yeah.
If they really want to switch the momentum, it would be one huge gamble. But like, you know, a Stinger rush through tree always solves a problem or two.
Yeah, it's an option that they've got to consider. Is because map number 2, map number 1. You don't have to consider really buying round 2 if you lose round 1, but we're in map 3. You know, it's a you know, less room for error.
Yeah, so you can either like gamble and try to buy up, or you can give a lot of momentum to the other team, which, and especially in these late rounds, it's not exactly what you want to have happen. I think we are in game already.
Yes, here we are. Terps coming out relatively unscathed. They have lost Soap, but they found their way onto site, which is what they have not been able to do in round number 1 of their attack half. So how are they going to be able to secure this post plant? We've seen Savani play in the same position right beneath Heaven multiple times in their grand finals match, but will it work out for her yet again? She's waiting for that flash to come through. It comes through. She finds a pick off of Davy Jones's flash, but the Sova responds for UTD, and now it's just Trace who's left into main to try and win this round. She might have a Cypher come her way with an Ares, and that's 2 in a row. And that time the Terps were able to actually get on site, but it didn't matter in the end.
Yeah, so they did go for more of a safe route to buy up this round, but this is the round they need to win this round. They are 4 rounds down. But this is like kind of like the decider for this map. If they can't win this round, it's going to be a very, very hard trek to bring it back up to even.
Yeah, 10-5 would be a hard scoreline to overcome. So they've got to put up a stop here now that they have weapons. This is going to be the round to potentially flip the script. And they're kind of defaulting, kind of split pushing, something of that nature right now. They have a lot of tiles control. They're looking mid with it, although that Yoru's not peeking mid anymore. So yeah, they do have really, really good eyes on mid right now. They're just kind of waiting for a peek to come their way, but UTD is not going to give it to them. Yeah, and after not really seeing anyone mid, they're going to say, okay, well, let's just take the space then if they're going to give it to us here and maybe pull off a market push. Oh, and Carrots lands a really good shot, just using her patience, waiting for that all orb to sound and before striking. And suddenly, now it looks like A is going to be the favored site here if they're able to pull off a good garden push. Again, they do have Vandals in hand, and if you look at UTD, they're trying to bonus here, so they don't really have ideal weapons, knowing that Savani is going to go in guns blazing here onto this A site, and Soap uses her utility to just sniff out that player behind the smoke and find that pick. Savani just knows there's someone into Heaven right now, is going to wait for her team to plant this bomb before she posts up into Hell, and is presumably just going to spam through off of Trace's drone. That does get shot down though.
Oh, Jones flanks up into Heaven, gets both of them.
Oh my goodness, Davy Jones, what a killer flank there to finally give the Terps a win here on the attack. Maybe that's going to help settle them in a little bit more in such a crucial round. And look how many guns they're able to carry with them into this next round.
Yeah, I believe last round was a flawless, and that's exactly what they need. But again, this Odin buy, you just hate to see an Odin buy. Sometimes it can get very, very annoying, especially on Ascent. But if they can win this round, they have the momentum now, and it would force UTD to go into a save.
Yeah, so another very important round just in terms of the implications it could have for the economy here. And looks like the Terps just don't want to switch anything up. They're kind of going for the same, you know, mid-control positioning that they had in the previous round. This time, though, they're just making a little bit more noise towards B. Yeah, and Carrots and Trace are still kind of lingering there. outside of Cat and just kind of walking towards A side. That Yoru's not going to make the mistake again of, getting that alt orb before really clearing that site.
And even speaking of the Yoru too, Yoru does have their ult, and as we've seen in past rounds or maps, the Yoru ult is exceptionally well at getting a lot of space because you don't know where the Yoru is gonna pop up. Pop up right behind you, right in front of you, somewhere like totally different.
30 seconds left.
Yeah, and with only 30 seconds left, the Terps have really got to make this B site work. It looks like that's where they're planning on hitting. Savani's going to dash in, use that smoke to get good positioning to watch any push that's happening through CT. She does get flashed, but Soap able to go in through lane, clear out Boathouse. Savani finally gets that pick she was hunting for there, so bomb gets planted, and suddenly the Terps pull off a really fast and clean B hit here, keeping all 5 Terps alive for the moment. Oh, and Carrots pushes.
Beautiful shot by Carrots.
Great shot by Carrots to take that Odin out of commission right off the bat. It leaves that ulted Yoru and the KO right now. Oh, and Soap take care of the Yoru, and it will be Savani to take care of the KO. That's 2 pretty decisive rounds in a row, and
yeah,
what a B hit.
Flawlesses in a row too. They have the momentum now. They just got to get through this round, and then you have a very equal game. And it looks like UTD is going to call a timeout yet again. Still curious on why they would do it on a save round. I feel like this one is not that smart, or not smart of a round to take a timeout on.
Yeah, there's been a couple of timeouts taken on save rounds from both sides. And that's something that's like kind of different. I feel like typically we see these coaches opting to take that timeout right before a bye. But yeah, I wonder what the strat is for kind of, taking this breather right before a save. Maybe, they're clicking up a thrifty. We don't know,
Caster curse it.
Yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully not. But yeah, so far the Terps, really staying in this match. It looked kind of dire for a second there. We were kind of staring down the barrel of a 5-round differential, and all of a sudden they're able to, close this margin a little bit.
Yeah, so just as we come out of the timeout, looks like the Terps might want, they've been doing some sort of default where they have good control of mid. Carrots is typically positioned over by A somewhere. Looks like she's positioned on an off angle, waiting for that odd Yoru push. And they're going to push very aggressively into A, and I guess the Yoru might try to track down the rest of the Terps, but for all they know, everything's going to be.
Or it's a very similar B hit to what we saw in the previous round, but this time Savani gets picked. The difference is Davy Jones able to trade her out. Yes, she does, and Soap is able to make things work on site as well. Carrots looking market. Suddenly everything's working out for the Terps, but Carrots gonna use that ultimate to get in a good position here. Oh, and she's got to watch out for this Yoru that's creeping up right behind her. Is she going to be able to have the read on this Yoru, or is she going to get swung into? Oh, she looked for a second, but the Yoru is able to catch Carrots off guard. It's only going to leave Soap here and Boathouse, who's got to watch all the angles at once. She's got to watch lane. She's got to watch steps. She's got to watch out for this Yoru clone that's coming her way. She has the utility in order to do so. The Yoru pushes through the smoke, and she finds the pick, but can she find this last kill in a 1v1 scenario with the bomb ticking down? She peeks the bomb and does find a pick there to further decrease this differential here that the Terps were faced with.
Yeah, it was definitely kind of a weird round. It was, again, a save or kind of like a half buy round for UTD, and didn't go as well as they planned, but the Terps ended up losing a lot of their guns. However, because the two consecutive flawlesses, they have been able to make up a lot of their economy, and they have a lot more of a bank to pull some stuff out.
Yeah, for sure. Their economy's way buffed up right now with, you know, they have, even if they lose this round, you know, they should be able to buy up next as well. So they're kind of going for the same, you know, kind of mid-control play here. They're consistently sending Carrots and Trace to fight really deep back, kind of almost in their spawn, but looking towards this A site. Meanwhile, the rest of the crew is just kind of walking up B garage. And it's worked out for them a couple of times with Silvani presumably gonna throw in a couple smokes and dash in as she's done in the rounds prior. But are Carrots and Trace really able to make things work here on A site? Despite this Yoru being really aggressive and a little bit of an encounter there. Everyone's alive so far, but still the Terps just really spread out. But it's looking kind of reminiscent of what we've seen in the last couple of rounds. But are they going to be aware of this Cypher cam that's sneakily positioned? So the KG ultimate is invested for the Terps. It's going to be used to clear out this B site. Davy Jones catches that Cypher in her molly, while Silvani does get picked during her draft to try and pull that switch to close off market. But still, the Terps have found their way on this site. They are able to set up some KG utility, and Trace is just waiting for her opportunity to strike to catch a lot of these players off guard, because I don't think they're aware of her positioning. Now smoke dissipates, but she does get killed. Soap staying in her trusted position here into Boathouse. It's Davy Jones who's there, is trying to help her out a little bit. Trades going through back and forth. All that's left here is Carrots, but the bomb is kind of taking down beyond repair. Carrots just trying to spam and does a lot of damage, but they will be able to defuse this bomb.
Yeah, I mean, the retake here is... I think they really needed Carrots on site with them. I saw the vision with the flank, but it was she's just too far away to get in on site. And it's really small things like that that really influence different rounds. Had she been there like maybe a second earlier, it could have been a totally different story.
Don't worry, I'll keep them quiet.
But yet again, they are digging deeper into the bank. They have a lot of money saved up, so they can invest a good amount, but they need to get around here.
Yeah, they've got to get 2 just to put things at 10 to 10. And if you look at the ultimate economy, it's certainly swaying in UTD's favor right now. And the 3 ultimates that they do have online are really powerful ultimates to have at their disposal. So the position, the play call is kind of the same, but the positioning of what players are where are kind of switched up with Davy Jones transitioning to being the aggressive one on that A site. But still, Silvani posted up outside a garage just waiting to use the stash. But are they going to watch out for this Sova who's tucked away in that corner near Switch? I don't know, because they've been playing CT pretty consistently, so I don't know if the Terps are really going to be expecting a close Switch play. Davy Jones left in a 1v1, and she's just trying to kill this Yoru that this fight has been happening really consistently round after round.
And it looks like the opportunity here is going to be through mid. Carrots might get this kill on the Yoru.
Oh, she uses her flash and cannot quite get the pick on the Yoru, but she does enough to buy herself and Silvani some space to flood in from tree. Silvani's able to clear hell, and it should be an easy plant for the Terps, and Silvani is in her position to watch a retake in from heaven.
The old bread and butter. And we do have a very good positioning here from the team. And Soap getting a much-needed kill from mid on the Cypher.
Oh, and the KO ultimate is used, and Silvani got eyes on 4 flashed players there. Could not get a pick, and now UTD's found their way on this site, and Carrots able to deny that Sova potentially using their ultimate, and Trace in turn's gonna use her ultimate to try and delay this defuse by any means necessary. Carrots gets killed into heaven, Trace gets killed, the defuse comes through for UTD, putting them at 2 round wins away from taking the series home.
It's a really close game, and we do see Dusty taking the second time out of this game, and it looks like it's a very far journey for them to get to a map win and series win. Because if you look at the UTD's ultimate economy, they have 4 ults. It's going to be very it's gonna be a very big wall to climb over if they're gonna want to try to, win this map or even get a few rounds to send it into overtime.
Yeah, and if you think about it, they've got to overcome this kind of, round win difference that they have ahead of them to just get even with their opposing team. But then they have to overcome that and build a lead. So there's just a really far journey ahead for the Terps if you want to prevent this from getting into overtime. But it's doable. They've just really got to step up here. They've really got to come out of this timeout with just a new outlook on this game.
Yeah, and I think the thing is just getting those playing weird, getting those first those initial kills in each round. Savani's got to be really careful about the cypher trips that they keep setting up, because if she runs right into them, it's not going to be a good thing. But it's going to be a 4-stack on the side of B, and they're not ready for this Clove and the Yoru pushing out.
Wow, that Clove hit some crazy shots, but the Yoru and the Clove are not done. They're working together to push through. Trace finally has an answer, though. Clove does pop their ultimate, though. Trace trying to hunt down this Clove and loses the spike in the process. Carrots does finally get that pick, but now the Terps have kind of lost spike control here, and they're getting shot from all angles, from mid, from main, and they're still fighting just to get any inch of space here. And yeah, Trace does get killed, and that is going to put UTD at series point.
There's a will, there's a way. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, that's true.
They do have a full buy to work with here. They have abilities. They have util. They have guns, especially. But Savani is going to have to do something pretty crazy with her ult if she wants to keep this game alive. If they can salvage just a few more rounds out, then they have a lot of ults to work with. But right now, the only really impactful ult that might stop them from, or might delay them a lot, is that Sova ult.
Yeah, they're going to have to use those ultimates really wisely, and they're going to have to just kind of expect that UTD is going to pull out all of the ultimates to try and close out this series. Savani's just walking her way onto this site. They're trying to overwhelm this player into Boathouse. Savani does.
What a shot.
Yeah, so Savani did die, but what a shot from Trace. And Soap has really good timing on this Yoru and hits a crazy shot. Oh my goodness. That could be the difference maker for the Terps as they're able to plant this bomb. The Odin is still in play, and Davy Jones knows that firsthand as she's getting shot from all over the place as she's trying to escape through lane. And now the Terps just have to hold down their ground onto site. They're getting flooded from steps. They're getting flooded from lane. Carrots is just getting overwhelmed by the players here, and it will be UTD's series to take. Man. I mean, hey, the Terps put up a great fight. They won map number 1 and narrowly lost the next 2.
Yeah, I mean, these two teams are really even. I think it just comes down to the very little things that influence each round. I mean, like we keep saying, it's like either time, lives, or something really, really small.
Yeah, well, it was definitely a very entertaining series to watch. We want to thank you all for tuning in this week. And I know we have a couple of Valorant streams in the works for next week, so make sure you guys keep an eye out for that. And we'll catch y'all later.